Hello. Damn. POV, you're an unsmoked pack of cigarettes in the Kremlin. Damn. Ooh. Let me just open my great phone. How's the audio level? Okay, works out. Works out fine for me. I'm sure there's people already fucking saying hi or whatever. I don't have the chat open yet, so just give me like half a second. The thumbnail is just a clickbait for anybody who... Oh! 大家好，大家好，新年快乐。Oh god. Ciao nigga. Ciao Martin. Come va, Spanish gang? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Which mod? It's fucking historical bloat mod. HFM plus the Anon edits submod. Hola senor. Hello dark side. We're going Red Sun over China. Well, I don't know. I just want to fucking play as the Taiping and survive until I westernize and then see what happens. Damn, that effect volume is super high. There we go. Without glorious Jesus, there would be no new China. Yeah, pretty much. See, like the reason I have that thumbnail is just fucking whatchamacallit, clickbait. That's the entire reason why that exists. Anyway, you might be asking yourself, why the fuck are we in 1850? Taiping stream. Yup. So we're in 1850 because, again, like what I want to do is I want to play as the Taiping, and a big problemo with China and like a lot of Victoria 2 mods is that you get to do basically nothing for a long time. You're basically just clicking these events. Did you update the mod? Yes, I did. It's on the latest version, or at least the latest version as of like 4 days ago, which is when I downloaded the latest version. If he bring in the waifu soldiers, oh yeah, there's some epic fucking Taiping waifu soldier art out there. Damn, that's quite something. Are you gonna go communist Taiping? I don't know. I haven't decided yet what to do in the late game, my good friends. Yes, my friends. How are you doing? I am not decide what to do because I am the epic. Have you ever the Assimilation Nation mod? No. No, I haven't. Yeah, this is a mod. Well, China Unified is like a stretch. You've got Guizhou, which is independent, or not independent, but, you know, satellite. Yunnan is a satellite. Mongolia is or Outer Mongolia is a satellite. Inner Mongolia, also a different satellite. And Manchuria, also a different satellite. Xinjiang, also a different satellite. Tannu-Tuva, it's a satellite. Tannu-Tuva 2. Altai Uryan-Kai and Tannu Uryan-Kai are both satellites. Tibet is a goddamn satellite, and all the Tibeto Qinghai kingdoms, the Tusa, are also satellites. Qinghai also a satellite. You get the deal. This shit is not exactly completely unified China, but yes, it is a mod, which is. In all HFM versions, China has the south. There's no like 1C click or fucking whatever. Tibet! Yup. No, you don't want the reactionaries killing you. But I've got a plan for that. Sort of. I'm not sure if it's going to work in the long term, but I do have a plan for the reactionaries. The reason you don't want the reactionaries is that they fuck with your westernization. If you're an uncivilized nation, and the reactionaries kill you, you turn reactionary and you lose your reforms. So you stay uncivilized. But and like mainly the reason why I haven't played Taiping yet, or China as a whole in Victoria 2, is that that's kind of an issue because China, guess what? A lot of pops in China. Ton of pops. Which means a lot of rebels. Also, a lot of pops of like different ethnicities. If we take a look at our culture map mode, there's North Han, there's South Han, there's Min, which is Fujian people. There's Hakka, who are based. There's Yue, which are Cantonese. There's fucking Zhuang, which are Guangxi clique people. Yes, Guangxi clique people. There's Yi, who are Yunnan people. There's Guizhou Miao people. It's just a mess. There's, of course, all the Muslims, if you actually take over that region. And, like, even in the places where there's, like, Han majority, some of them are not quite Han majority, you know? You see, like, these 40%, 60%, 80%. So that's a lot of pops that aren't potentially accepted culture groups, which can have a lot of infamy. Hakka! Yup. And basically... Oh, Boudica, you have a decent idea as to what is going to happen with that research points westernization thing. You'll see. I have a secret strategy, which I stole off of some dude in a forum, but that dude in a forum was clearly playing a version of the game where rebels aren't as big of a problem as in here. Basically, in here, reactionaries are an issue. Now, right now as the Qing, we're not getting any goddamn reactionaries, which is fine. Also because we have only got one reform, official currency. Of course, this is historically accurate. It's also not historically accurate that we don't have universities. It's also not historically accurate that we don't have administration. It's also not historically accurate that we don't have education. Literally, fucking China was a society literally based upon education, but whatever. It is also not exactly 100% accurate that we don't have artillery. Local artillery doesn't actually give you artillery. But whatever. We're not gonna fucking nitpick the historical accuracy of HFM China, or should I? Do you actually want me to like launch myself into a massive Victoria to China thing? I don't know. If you want, I guess I can do that. Anyway, China's funny. Are you playing the Anon mod? Yes, I am playing the Anon mod. At least they've said you've got a writing system, LMAO. Yeah, right, because see, in a lot of these unciv countries, they've also got a national spirit over here where there's got no writing system. And when you take the reform for education, yeah, if you get the reform for education, you remove that no writing system because you like adopt Latin script or something. I don't know. That's I think the way it's supposed to be going. Anyway, thankfully at the very least we don't have that. We've got the 8 banners, the corrupt officials, the isolationism, the female shortage, of course, and slavery, which yeah, I mean, slavery. History time, give it a shot. Ooh, oh boy, let's go. Go on a massive historical rant, please. Okay, so basically, there's no way to even start with this, but like everything that's China in Victoria 2 is literally impossible to represent correctly. Because, like, for example, China historically at this moment in time, technically on paper, had like something like 2 million men in their military, which obviously is not possible to like accurately represent. But like of those, you could probably only have like a few tens of thousands that were actually like soldiers. So yeah, also China had a very weird government system that is basically impossible to represent, because Victoria 2 is based upon the paradigm where Westerners are civilized and everybody else is Ooga Booga tribesmen. They don't really have the space to model in-game the possibility of there being alternative models of civilization from the West, which is why Japan starts uncivilized and they become civilized when they Westernize. Also why the Ottoman Empire is Westernized, even though at this moment in history, the Ottoman Empire definitely wasn't Westernized, but it wasn't uncivilized. It would be retarded to portray them as uncivilized. And for some reason, Egypt, which was more than a match for the Ottomans in terms of civilization when that whole kerfuffle was going on, for some reason, Egypt is uncivilized, which is like, oh god, what's going on? So China is uncivilized because with the way the game mechanics work, you cannot prevent a civilized nation from industrializing. And China industrializing in 1850 would obviously be really, really dumb. But China began industrializing under a central government effort called the Self-Strengthening Movement, which also included parts of the Chinese private sector. And this was going on all the way from the 1860s to the, well, early 1900s, which is when, like, you know, full-scale, like, westernized industrialization began. So obviously you cannot represent that in Victoria 2 because the game would become unbalanced, because by the own game mechanics, which make a lot of sense, by the way, I'm not against those game mechanics, if you're a country like China and you can westernize, you're gonna become a super industrial power, which obviously China in real life was not able to do until the 20s. Even in the 20s, you know, it kind of had an aborted attempt at industrialization. And then, you know, the 30s and 40s were turbulent, and then in the 50s, they could, you know, restart and, like, properly become industrial, and then, even then, they had problems with fucking the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution, and then the 1980s, they finally fucking started to catch up. Wait, oh, no, okay, see, I thought Portugal was trying to demand concession from me. Instead, they're demanding concession against Futajalon, some fucking African Ooga Booga thing. Yeah, they're gonna take the jihadi. They're gonna kill the jihadi. Anyway, and yeah, the 8 banners. So let's get into the 8 banners and shit. So that's one problem. Again, you cannot really represent some of the weird institutions that the Chinese Empire had built up over all these fucking whatever years. Also, Victoria 2 does not model, like, nomadic societies. Obviously, because at this point in history, like, nobody really is, like, a great example of pastoral nomadism anymore. You do have, like, something left in Central Asia, and basically then the nomads that were harassing Russia or whatever are gone, and then you have left these sort of semi-autonomous nomadic entities under the Qing Empire, and of course that, you know, doesn't really play that much of a role in like, you know, world history at this point. And this was pretty important to the Qing Empire because, again, the fucking Qing were originally the Manchu or the Jurchen. The Jurchen, and then they became the Manchu. And some Manchus were in, you know, in China, basically being a fucking apartheid ruling class, while some other ones were just hanging around in Manchuria being, being Manchu or fucking whatever. And that is impossible to correctly model, literally. And of course, yeah, the Taiping is another big problemo, and also the Nian. The Nian are less of a problem because the Nian are very not that important in like historical context. So the Nian were like these rebels that were in the Henan region, but they're not that. They're important, but they're not that important. Anyway, so let's get to the fucking Taiping. Let's get to the fucking Taiping. Yeah, I can read the comments. It's just there's nothing really all that interesting going on in the comments right now. And yeah, this is HFM plus Anon's mod. Oh, yeah, right. Like, the way HFM handles things is, in a normal game, I believe there's just one, like, shit modifier for China that just makes it, like, quote-unquote difficult for you to play, but, like, mostly China is handicapped by just having, like, a shitload of reactionaries or whatever. But if you're good, you can, if I recall correctly, you can just, like, start to go conquer everyone and get research points from that and win. Now, in HFM, you don't get research points for conquering base level. You need to take some reforms to do that. So you cannot do that straight off the bat. Also, in HFM, China cannot justify war goals because 2,000 fucking days to justify war goal. Why is that the case? Because China has national spirits in this one. They've got the isolationism, so like ooga booga, we close ports and borders to foreigners, which is heavily incorrect, but whatever. It is fucking Qing. The Qing closed door policy is a very complex endeavor. Corrupt officials, yeah, of course. So that's minus 30% research points straight off the bat. Even though we've got literate people, and we've got like a lot of intellectuals. So we're getting a lot of base research points, but this fucks it up. And then the 8 banners fucks it up even more, which I'm not sure how they like explain that the 8 banners are able to like reduce research. I don't fucking know. Yeah, Qing was definitely much more open to like pre-Matthew Perry Japan. Like pre-Matthew Perry Japan was like literally they had one trading post with the Chinese and the Dutch, and that was Kagoshima. Or actually, it was Kagoshima, and then Matthew Perry opened Yokohama, and then even then after Matthew Perry, which is when like a bunch of American ships just kind of showed up. In Edo, they were like, please give us trade or else we're going to bomb you. The only place that was actually open, again, from that is Yokohama. And you had the Dutch and the Chinese dogs sorry, not in Kagoshima. It was in fucking, was it the Strait, if I recall correctly? At the Strait of Shimono. Was it at the Strait? I'm not sure. Anyway, there was one Dutch-Chinese trading post. And Korean as well. So, like, you had these 3 people that could trade. And here you had, like, fucking French, Prussians, British, Americans. Or whatever the fuck. And I guess Russians, although there weren't really all that many Russian ships around at this moment. Well, the Qing had, like, the Canton system, right? But, like, the Canton system is a meme. It's kind of a meme. So, like, in case you don't know, the Canton system is what the West knew the Chinese for. Is the way the West interacted with the Chinese. And why? Because to the Chinese, the world was, like, basically divided into circles, right? The circle that was, like, that mattered at all, that was, like, civilized, was, like, basically this, without the Indian part. It's like Japan, Korea, all the fucking weird barbarian people up here, Xinjiang, Central Asia, at least the eastern part, Tibet, Burma, Siam, and Vietnam. And some later on it goes up to Borneo and Malaysia. Like this was like China civilized, and everybody else around here, except the fucking like Ooga Booga steppe people, are kind of civilized, right? And so what that entails is these people had like full relations of China, and in fact there was this whole mega complex fucking world order that's like the closest way you could imagine it is like today America is the leader of the free world. China was the leader of that world in much the same way. They weren't like directly the sovereign of anyone that wasn't in China, but everybody else quote unquote respected like the word of Beijing or fucking something like that. Some people call this the tributary system, but it's more complex than that. It wasn't just like a vassalage or whatever. It's super complex. No time to get into it. Now, these people could send quote-unquote tribute missions, which were actually just trading missions. Some of them once a year, some of them twice a year, some of them 4 times a year, like the Koreans. And that was the way that they handled trade. One border per one country equals one trade. So, like, the Japanese could trade in fucking North China. They could send a fucking delegation to Beijing and trade. The Koreans did that all the time. The Ryukyuans also did that, the fucking people over here. The Vietnamese twice, if I recall correctly. And they deal with the directly bordering people, which is also how Russia handled things. Russia handled things with the Qing with a fucking trading post at Kyakhta, which is like somewhere over here. Somewhere like fucking in this region. The Russians just sent a caravan to trade every once in a while, and they had a diplomat here. So that's how they handle things. But to like the British and the French or whatever, the British and the French to the Chinese were basically like Mongols with ships. They weren't like real people. Just like fucking like if a Persian showed up, that wasn't a real person. That was just like a fucking sea Mongol or whatever. Because it's like, yeah, but like you're super far away because it didn't really understand like, you know, why do you shut the fuck up? They didn't really understand like fully the concept of like global navigation. Also, global navigation was a very new thing, and only like at the early stage of the 1800s that they realized that like the rulers of India were the same people as those funny retards showing up in southern China wanting to like sell fucking cotton shorts. Fucking cotton shirts in the tropical heat of Canton, which is because like the British were starting to industrialize. They were fucking exporting cheap textile like manufacturers everywhere, and they were exporting these like fucking cotton, induments that were okay for the northern climates. And they were like, oh, but like, why don't the Chinese want our epic, super warm, fucking induments? When fucking Canton is like 700 million degrees in the summer, we're doing just fine with our like fucking heavy coats in here because like the British were really dumb back then. So basically they're like, oh, there's these retards that show up here every once in a while, get mad when we send them off, shoot up a bunch of people, because literally there were like 3 or 4 incidents between the British and the Chinese before the Opium War, of just like some British person coming in being like a bit of a doofus, not really understanding that, you know, China is a really big empire, bureaucracy slow and all that, and thinking that they're just being like shut out because the Chinese are like afraid of competition because they're like yellow people or whatever. Not really understanding also that they don't sell their stupid cotton, textile things because in Canton it's just really hot. Okay, if you go sell the cotton somewhere else, it's going to work. But the Chinese don't want you to fucking trade up here. So there's a bunch of incidents in this manner where like a ship is refused entry or whatever. They don't want to trade, and the ship is like, but I am like a chartered merchant of His Majesty in London, and he starts like shooting up the place, and the Chinese are like, oh my god, this again. So it takes them a while to realize that these retards are the same people that rule India. Anyway, when they realize that, they like are immediately like kind of afraid that Tibet is going to be invaded, but that's another thing. So this leads to the Canton system, what the British refer to as the Canton system, which is like, okay, so we're gonna have a corporate monopoly. Okay, so this is from the Chinese perspective. So they think like, okay, the British and the French and all these people are just like the Portuguese. They're just some random sea barbarians coming in, and they just want to trade. Okay, they're gonna trade. We're gonna let them like fucking stay in here and trade in Canton. We're not gonna allow them to trade anywhere else if they want to, because that's illegal or something. And they're gonna trade with something called the Hapo, which was a kind of corporate monopoly, basically. It was an office that sort of it was like a syndicate. Like it joined together a bunch of merchants from this area, not with like civilian officials of the empire, because that would be like giving them audience or whatever. And it's like, if you're sending traders, British people, you're not meeting with our civilian officials, because our civilian officials are above mere traders. Because the fucking Chinese have this weird like Confucian thing where like merchants are bad because they want to make money and not like please the universal, harmony of fucking society. Obviously the British being pretty capitalistic at this point, this is the early 1800s, they were like, they thought that this was just like them getting snobbed, essentially. Anyway, so that's the like origin of all the weirdness. And basically, the Europeans didn't understand why this was going on, which was basically Qing economic dynamics and just good old-fashioned just weirdness. And they thought that like the Chinese were an inferior race that was unimaginative and boorish, and that they couldn't like, compete with like the fucking Westerners, and because the Westerners had big dicks or whatever. So that was the whole problem with the British, right? Now, in the meantime, the Spanish were doing just fine, because they were trading off of Manila to Fuzhou. And there was this whole trading network where the Spanish could trade at Canton and at Fuzhou in Fujian, and that was the way the entire Chinese economy was functioning, because the fucking silver from the Bolivian mines was flowing into China, and the Chinese currency was on a silver standard, but the problem is China's really big, and so the silver mines in China are not, pumping out enough silver for the entire empire to really, like, base a stable currency on. But, there's all the Spanish silver coming in, and also, at some point, the British are like, haha, tea is good. And so, if tea is good, then, we might as well buy it. And they were buying it with silver, because the Chinese were like, everybody who comes in who's a foreigner needs to buy with silver. And so the British silver gets fucked, and then there's the whole bunch of, like, fucking insane Viva España. And then there was the whole, like, spiral that leads to the Opium War, because, like, okay, the silver imbalance between Britain and China, we're, like, paying too much silver to the Chinese. Okay, we must find, like, other goods that the Chinese are willing to pay for. And they find opium. Understandably, the Chinese are none too plussed about opium, even though there's actually a massive debate within the Chinese imperial bureaucracy in the 1840s. There's actually a massive debate between, like, people who want to legalize opium fully, because the Chinese knew what opium was before the British started, like, importing it en masse. But then they started importing it en masse, and it started, like, having widespread use among, intellectuals and all that, like, people who had, like, disposable income to buy it because it was expensive. It wasn't just random people getting addicted, but, it was, like, officers, intellectuals, people who were supposed to be like, moral people. And so some are like, we must like outright ban it, and some are, nigga, just gotta legalize it, and I'm fucking doing the what is this? Yeah, the opium with those things. I'm doing that pose. The what is that even called? What is that pose called? Shit. I forget my like young man vibes. Yeah, the China switched to the silver. They didn't really like completely switch to silver, but yeah, because of Potosi, and they were only on copper before that. Yeah, but they kept the copper actually, and this is the source of a massive problem with taxation and peasants that indirectly leads to the Taiping Rebellion, which is what we're trying to play as or whatever. But we're getting to that in a little bit. Dab, right, dab. So some are like, let's just dab and be like hip and legalize the marijuana opium. And their argument was literally what like the modern what the modern American argument for like legalized weed is, which is funny because it's like these people think they're inventing something. They're like, oh my god, we're just so progressive and forward thinking that we're gonna legalize, we're gonna legalize weed because then it can be taxed and brought out of the black market and the state can make money on it, and weed is epic. Now, these people who were like, let's legalize opium, didn't say opium is epic because they weren't, fucking, like, I don't know. They weren't 420 blazed enough in ancient China, I guess. Although some people definitely were 420 blazing it. And they're like, bruh, we're literally just gonna, like, we're gonna just tax these British motherfuckers. And at this point, also some French and Americans were getting in on the deal. We're gonna tax these motherfuckers super hard for that opium, and it's gonna, give us a whole bunch of money. And so that was the debate. Eventually, of course, the like hardliners win, and they send the Lin Sisu, who was a pretty epic person, down to Canton to like, smash all the opium, burn it all, and all that. And then the Opium War starts because of a bunch of weird shit. Now, this was the like foreign trouble of the Qing in the 1840s. The domestic problem that had been sort of brewing actually since the 1770s, 1780s, is the whole like copper, silver, double standard currency. So like the currency that everybody used, who wasn't rich, were copper coins, copper cash, it's called. And the copper comes out of Yunnan mostly. Some of it also from Guizhou, some of it from other parts. But basically, and the silver is obviously coming in from here. Now, taxes, get this, were supposed to be paid in silver. But everybody who wasn't rich, so peasants basically, and like underclass, urban laborers, were using copper currency, right? Now, the value of silver as opposed to the copper currency, because of like global supply fluctuations, was rising much faster, which meant that the copper currency was losing value, but like not in ordinary transitions. In ordinary like monetary transitions at the local level, people still had their purchasing power. But then when the state comes in and wants taxes, the peasants have to switch the copper to silver currency. And in that switch, they're getting shafted because the global silver supply was, fucking going down because of a million different reasons. Mostly, if I recall correctly, it was the Spanish independence, or Spanish-American independence wars, especially. And then, of course, later, the fact that the British started buying Chinese goods less with straight-up silver and more with, switching, like kind of quote unquote a barter between the opium and the Chinese goods. And so it's like there's less of a silver inflow into China. Now it's very heavily debated how much the like opium switch, like silver opium switch, actually hurt the Chinese silver balance. It's probably not something that we'll ever know the exact impact of. But yeah, why not use Bitcoin? I don't know. You gotta ask the digital yuan people. So basically, this was pissing off a whole bunch of peasants everywhere because they were effectively paying more taxes, even though the state, from their point of view, was not increasing taxes. So they were like, huh, bro, like, what y'all mad about? Like, why are you mad? We're not, we're not actually, like, increasing taxes. But see, what was going on is that the local officials, oh, there we go, fucking Taiping. The local officials were skimming a little bit extra, right? So they were not only asking more because of the currency switch, they were also, and because of like the virtual inflation that was causing, also the fucking local officials are trying to get more corrupt and asking for, like, let's say that their tax quota is like 50, they were asking for 60 or 70 from the peasants, and they were just keeping the 10 or 20, which is an endemic problem to like Chinese bureaucracy in 2,000 years of like fucking Chinese empire. Generally, when dynasties started like having less centralized control, this shit was going on. Now, this collaborates, these like multiple trends collaborate to make the 1780s, 1790s, early 1800s, all the way up to the 1850s, a bunch of troubled times where the state had to deal with a bunch of like local rebellions. Now, the big one is the Taiping one in the 1850s, because also, why the fuck is there like a, is that like a CSA kind of eagle? What the fuck? Anyway, so the Taiping, who the fuck were these guys? They were a bunch of Christian Hakka people. Now, the Hakka are people who, at some point in like the 1200s, well, in general, it's people from central and northern China that moved to southern China, and of course they formed insular communities because the natives were like, fuck off, illegal immigrant, and that meant that they were kind of oppressed. Now, this combines with a bunch of retarded Westerners just like fucking coming in and trying to convert the Chinese to Christianity, mostly British, American, and German Protestants, and like smuggling in a bunch of like translated Bibles because like they thought that like if they give the Chinese Christianity, they're gonna save all their souls and like civilize China or some fucking weird shit like that, because those people were pretty insane. And this and a kind of weird version of Christianity takes root in the Hakka communities of Guangxi province, because this one funny motherfucker called Hong Xiuquan sees in a dream, he was like a failed bureaucrat because he tried to fucking pass it. It's complex. He sees that like God in a dream gives him the task to kill all the demons, which are the Manchus. To him, the Manchus are just like fucking demons straight out of the fucking Bible or whatever. And Christianized China, and they thought that China originally was Christian, but then it was like corrupted by the evil Confucians, and then now the evil Manchus and the evil Confucians are trying to oppress the people or whatever. And they formed this guerrilla movement in here. Then they are like, okay, we're like 30,000 epic guerrillas. By the way, the Hakka don't practice foot binding, so that means that their women can fight, and so they were actually gender equality. They were fucking intersectional or whatever. And they start to move northeast, and they proclaim this fucking heavenly kingdom. Now, at some point, over here, they reach the fucking epic Yangtze River. They capture a whole guerrillian boats at Wuhan, or Wuchang, or fucking whatever. And at some point, they're just like starting to recruit a whole bunch of people. So at the beginning, they're like 30,000, right? They start to recruit a whole bunch of people in this area because everybody was pissed at the government. Now, these people, of course, weren't like Christian Hakka, and it's all fucking complex and weird. And they form a massive fucking boat division that's streaming down the Yangtze River, which was kind of like a highway. Just think of this place like kind of like a highway, because it was just fast, cheap transport. So imagine this gigantic, like, horde of boat people coming down, and you know, at the end they're going for Nanjing, right? To overthrow the evil Manchus and establish a new regime. And yeah, Victoria 2, but none of the Paradox games do Victoria 2. Or sorry, none of the Paradox games do rivers justice, really. Rivers are fucking important. And at this point, apparently, they're like 1 million. Somehow they grew from like 30,000 to 1 million. So imagine this like fucking apocalyptic flood of people coming into Nanjing. And they take it over. Now, in Victoria 2, this is impossible to represent because it was kind of like a long march kind of deal, right? They were in Guangxi, and then they moved through, and then they did this thing and that thing, and it's just impossible to fucking represent. So, in Victoria 2, if somebody just plays Victoria 2, they think that the Heavenly Kingdom... One, I'm not sure that they would, like, realize that the Heavenly Kingdom is Christian? Or something like that. I don't particularly... I don't fucking know. I'm not sure that someone who plays Victoria 2 would realize that the Heavenly Kingdom was Christian or something. But yeah, the Heavenly Kingdom is Christian. Also because, like, Victoria 2 doesn't really, like, have religion. Like, yeah, sure, you can go to... How would you even, like, look at your main religion, to be honest? Because the countries do have a religion in Victoria 2. It's just, how would you look at who is, like, an accepted religion? What is your country's religion? I don't fucking know. Anyway. Jesus has appeared. Yup. So, now they go on the Holy Crusade to liberate China from the evil Manchus, right? And it's pretty pogging. Now, you may realize that I have a massive fucking army from the start, and it's the same units, or mostly the same units, that I had there as the Qing. Now, you need to do some preparation if you want to win as the Heavenly Kingdom. Because the Heavenly Kingdom, as a Revolter tag, has some interesting mechanics in Victoria 2. Now, the way Revolts work in Vic 2 is that Revolts like the American Civil War and the Heavenly Kingdom, that are basically civil wars. The way that they have an army at the start is that the American Civil War is ethnically based. Dixie soldiers, or soldiers that come from Dixie Pops, rise up for the Confederacy and slavering states' rights, right? But with the Heavenly Kingdom, they can't just have, like, Hakka soldiers rising up, because that would be too few. And also because non-Hakkas were coming. So how did they deal with the conundrum? Well, all the soldiers that were recruited from provinces that are Heavenly Kingdom cores, when the Heavenly Kingdom spawns, become Heavenly Kingdom troops. Got it? Good. Because the way I set it up is I just recruited, you know, up to force limit as the Qing, so that it's like fucking... Oh, they only have 45 brigades. Yeah, get fucked. Because normally, like, it would be very, very difficult if you're just playing normally to, like, make the Heavenly Kingdom War winnable. There's an exploit you can do as the Qing. You can lose and flee to Taipei, and they get all Chinese cultures as accepted, and Britain will help them get their land back so you can create a Qing with no militancy. Well, isn't that poggers? Isn't that just epic? Because, yeah, at the beginning they only accept Manchu and North Hen. But yeah, the British, let's just say that the British, we're gonna get to the British. I have a plan for the British. Anyway, Anon mod also grants revolter tags like these an ability to basically recruit troops instantly so that they don't instantly die. But and yeah, we're gonna use it, of course, to make our army. Now, winning the war, once you know this trick to like group up all the soldiers that you know are gonna switch over, and then fight like a normal war, it's not that difficult to actually beat the Qing. And we're gonna do that now. What is difficult is what comes after. Let's actually wait for that. Anyway, okay. Also, it's not that difficult to win, and yeah, as you can see, everybody gets recruited instantly to the epic Taiping army because of the revolter tag nonsense, essentially. Another reason why Taiping is pretty pogging is that we lose all the spirits. And we actually get a good national spirit, fucking fanatic loyalty up until for 5 years, which is pretty pogging. And the problem is you lose all the research points. You keep the reforms, but you lose the research points, which is unfortunate. Now, the reason why Taiping is so pogging is that they have Shi Dakai. Now, this is a historical general, actually. And he was basically the Taiping's best general in real life. Now, his whole adventure is very interesting because he ends up, when the Taiping lose, he's still hanging around in Sichuan, all the way to Sichuan, because of the way the Taiping Rebellion War ends up playing out. So basically, he goes off on his own because of a bunch of reasons. He goes off on his own and is like, fuck all of you, I'm gonna head straight to Sichuan or something, and I'm gonna make my own Taiping movement. And he's still hanging around at the war's end, and he's basically, again, the best fucking Taiping general. And he is OP as fuck because he's got +4 attack, which means that you get to fucking destroy everybody. Yep, Jesus brother. He's not Taiping Robert E. Lee, really, because none of the Taiping are comparable to Robert E. Lee, because none of them were, like, generals of the Qing. There are, like, next to no, like, high-level defections to the Taiping, which is one of the main reasons that the Taiping eventually lose, is, you know, the Qing elites mostly stay loyal to the Qing. And also the elites who are not, you know, Manchu, they stay loyal to the Qing. If some of them had defected over to the Taiping, and if the Taiping had been good at, like, garnering their defections, maybe history would have been different. Anyway, so then we need to get these guys together. Need to get these guys together and, like, start to, you know, form up a real fucking army or something. Look at all these fucking soldiers in Nanjing. And it's not going to be Nanjing for that long. So Nanjing in Chinese means the southern capital. We're going to rename it to Tianjing, the heavenly capital, of course. And you can see over there the proclamation of the heavenly kingdom. There we go. So now it's called Tianjing, which is, yeah, the heavens capital. So now we're the most epic fucking country that has ever existed, quote unquote. And as you can see, there were some of my, like, for example, this guy is from Huai'an. Over here. And so he revolts because he's like, oh, I must follow the Heavenly Kingdom or some fucking shit like that. Death to the Manchu devils. Tianjin! Exactly. Nianjin Kuaila, fucking Ma KR. What did you miss? Well, just a gigantic rant about, like, Victoria Chu China not being historically accurate. Anyway, now we're gonna kill all the wrong Chinese and all the Manchu devils. And again, it's not that difficult to kill all the Manchu devils because Hong Xiuquan, in case you don't know, had a demon-slaying flaming sword handed to him by God himself. Yeah, the guy was pretty interesting. He thought that he could see like God's communications to him through dreams. So God sent him dreams. And a few of the other Taiping leaders also claimed that something like this was going on. For example, you can see that our generals over here are some interesting people. In fact, there should be 5 of them. But everybody always forgets the last one, so it's fine. So we have Dakai, who, as we already talked about, was the best fucking Taiping military commander. Now we also have Feng Yunshen. We had Li Xiucheng. We have Xiao Chaogui. Now there's supposed to be another one, but he's not really a field commander. That's fucking Yang Xiuqing. Now Yang Xiuqing was the second in command of Hong Xiuquan. Now Hong Xiuquan was the heavenly king, Tian Wang. And these other 5 people, so get this, Shidakai plus 4 other people were the assistant kings. So they had kings under a king. They didn't have an emperor. He was evangelical. Yeah, basically, Taiping Christianity was like a weird brand of evangelical Christianity. In modern terms. But see, the thing is that Hong Xiuquan also thought that God had told them that Jesus was his older brother, which is understandably a bit of a rift from every other kind of Christianity. Now, the Taiping did definitely view themselves as like the real deal, and they thought that they were just another kind of Protestant. But theology is a gigantic fucking conundrum when it comes to Taiping, also because of some of the later relations between the late Taiping, I guess we're going to call them, which is 1861 onwards, to the British. The British eventually ended up fucking siding with the Qing against the Taiping. It's a fucking complex phenomenon. And yeah, there was a whole crisis in the Heavenly Palace because all these assistant kings were, well, they were the kings of the 4 directions, quote unquote. So basically, the guy who's not a general, Yang Xiuqing, is the Eastern king, who is apparently reactionary. Now, the Western king was, if I recall correctly, Xiao Chaogui, who was kind of like the 3rd man. Now, the Eastern king was, for a long time, kind of the real deal. Like, Hong Xiuquan, at some point, the leader of the Taiping, becomes more like a spiritual leader, more like a pope. And Yang Xiuqing, the Eastern king, is more like the king. And then Xiao Chaogui is the rival of Yang Xiuqing, and at some point they start to like kill each other, and there's a gigantic fucking palace coup. And that's kind of like the end of the Taiping, like, you know, momentum. After that, they're not united anymore, and all their armies get picked off, and eventually they lose. Now, there were also, again, the kings of the south and of the north and of the west. So nobody knows if they were actually like planning to do like a kind of feudalism thing when they conquered all of China. And then there was also the assistant king, who was Shidakai, who is the E-king, the wing king, or the assistant king, or whatever. I have no idea why he's supposed to be a liberal. In fact, the Taiping equivalent of a liberal would be a later guy who was a cousin of fucking Hong Xiuquan, who was at this moment he was in Hong Kong studying under some British missionaries, and then manages to get back to Nanjing, and then he becomes essentially the prime minister, and he's called the Shield King. It's fucking complex. Let's not get into it. But he was basically the only like actual like pro-Western. Well, everybody else was obviously pro-Westerner in that they were all Christian brothers or fucking whatever. But this guy was like, oh shit, I know what a railway is, and so he wanted railways. Everybody else didn't know what railways were, so they weren't necessarily pro-modernization. And it's fucking complex. So, which is why we're not gonna get into it unless somebody fucking asks something, and why you should wait for the requisite, like, 3 more years that my fucking Chinese history series gets all the way to the Taiping. Because the Taiping are super fucking interesting. Were there any socialists in the Taiping, and Marx supported them? That's a very, very complex phenomenon. Like, Marx initially supported the Taiping, because at the beginning, the Taiping were kind of socialist-y, in a way. Now, at the beginning, the Taiping... remember, they had started as, like, both religious rebels and kind of like a mixture between ethnic Hakka rebels and social peasant guerrillas. So they had this whole conception of their utopian society that was supposed to include basically egalitarian property, right? And also, it was basically supposed to be like a whole gigantic militarized theocracy, and it's fucking complex. Basically, every like dozen or so, no, maybe like 10 or so households were supposed to be under a priest, sergeant kind of guy. And all these households were supposed to have common property, like a kind of village commune kind of thing, or urban commune if they were urban people. And it's fucking complex, but they never really got to that point because of the like war issues. They were indeed fighting a massive, gigantic war. They never got to that point, right? And especially in the later years of the Taiping movement, the earlier adherents were all like dying off in droves, or basically being a new kind of upper class in Nanjing, which was a really rich city, so they were enjoying their time there. And so they became basically the same thing in terms of day-to-day governance as the Qing. So they weren't really redistributing any land anymore, or any property, like they were doing in the early days of the movement. And basically later on, at that point, they're basically a fundamentalist army of a religion that's foreign to China, and they have lost all the social character of their movement, which is part of the reason why Marx later on is like very anti-Taiping, because it's like, damn, this is some fucking barbarism shit, bro. It's not cool. It's not based anymore. It's cringe. And I kind of agree, although it's very, very complex. And to be fair, a lot of the sources that he had access to were British, and the British later on were very anti-Taiping. Because you see, the British, yeah, the Taiping are Christians, right? But the British at this point are capitalists more than they are Christians. And in 1861, there's this weird event that's the Second Opium War. It's actually, no, a little bit earlier than 1861. It's super complex. It is resolved in 1860. The Second Opium War is a weird thing where we can't really get into it because you need like a gigantic fucking primer of what was the First Opium War and blah, 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 blah. Now, the Second Opium War basically means that the British secure a treaty with the Qing to allow the British to trade in China, right? Which is what they wanted all along. They didn't give a goddamn shit what these fucking disgusting Chinese savages were believing or were up to in their government. They just thought that they were just fucking subhumans anyway. Or not really like subhumans, but like uncivilized fucking barbarians. And even at some point, some guy in one of the Opium Wars is like, well, actually, a lot of people in the British, both public opinion and you know, in the army and navy who are fighting, are like, oh well, China's just another India. The only question is, should we saddle ourselves with this great burden of responsibility of caring for these uncivilized, barbarous people? So, like, basically, they thought that they could conquer all of China and make it India 2, or colony number 15, as it is known in one of the memes about like Britain that I particularly enjoy. And they didn't like, really think like it was going to be particularly difficult. The only problem was, are we like bothered enough to like teach these fucking Chinese people like government like we did with the Indians or something? It's like, we maybe do not want to do that. Maybe we only want to trade with them. And all that shit. And China was the end goal of like basically all imperialism ever. The Spanish wanted to get to China because they mostly just wanted to trade with China, right? And India, British India later on, it's complex, but its economy was very, very, very reliant on China, especially the East India Company. Was very, very reliant on that Chinese trade, which was basically the only thing that was actually profitable in the East India Company. Now, the end point for the British was, or at least like most of the British, was always trade. So like we're just gonna take it all over and civilize it faction was pretty minority, and they ended up not doing that, which is probably good for the British Empire, because if they had tried to take over China, it would have been an interesting alt history. Let's just say that an alt history where the British actually try to, you know, do the India in China is, yeah, you could probably write a very, very cool novel on it. Let's say that I don't think it would have gone very well for them, but whatever. The British sure thought they could do it. Now, because at some point they secure a treaty with the Qing, they do what governments of these imperialist powers, or in this case, the British were becoming an imperialist power more properly. They had like the early imperialism going. It wasn't like the monopolistic capital imperialism. They were still exporting merchandise all over and conquering places. They weren't exporting capital. They didn't want to invest in China. So it wasn't like properly imperialistic yet. But this like early British imperialism is like, okay, much like the Americans in the post-World War II and post-World War I, they were like, okay, the main problem is, can we do business with these people? We do not really care about their government, right? We don't really care about like China's government. We just want to trade with it. So we don't give a shit if it's the fucking funny Christian people or the funny, you know, Ooga Booga, Manchu, China, whatever, right? And at that point, since they had already secured a, you know, trading treaty with the Ooga Booga Manchu Empire, they were like, well, whatever. The Ooga Booga Manchu Empire is the guarantor of stability in China, you see? What the fuck? Okay. You see, they're the guarantor of stability in China because, you know, these rebels are acting against the government and not the opposite, so they are a rebellious entity. Even though they thought that they were going to recognize the CSA, they are like, we're never gonna recognize the Taiping as like a legitimate, you know, thing, because they hadn't, basically because the Taiping hadn't like surrendered like half of their perceived sovereignty over to the British for British trading. Because again, the Taiping had Chinese conceptions of how trade was supposed to be regulated between countries, and they were like, of course China is like superior to the weird sea barbarians, even if the weird sea barbarians have like the, you know, the like God's word. That doesn't change the fact that they're still weird sea Mongols. Like, what the fuck? And so the British, understandably, are a little bit iffed at that. And at some point, even, the British had this trading post at Shanghai that they had managed to sort of build up between the Opium Wars. And Shanghai had this foreign community, right? And at some point, see, like here, we see the Shanghai is Taiping, but actually, there was this, one of the last Taiping, like, attempts to actually win the war was, let's just capture Shanghai and buy a whole bunch of Western guns, because when we're at Shanghai and we can fucking talk to them, we can just tell them, hey, we just want to trade, let's buy all your guns and use those guns to kill all the Manchus, right? Doesn't work out because they see the Taiping army approaching. They just wanted to kill the, you know, Chinese, quote unquote, the Qing, and they're like, oh no, they want to kill all the foreigners, and so the British start to bomb the Taiping, and it's just fucking complex. And at that point, the British fully intervene on the side of the Qing, which, understandably, the Taiping are not too happy about, you know, their supposed like Christian brothers turning against them. You know, understandable, to be honest. They thought that they were like Crusader bros against the Manchu barbarians, and instead it turns out the fucking British people are also barbarians, and they're on the side of the other barbarians. And so basically, yeah, the British just literally do the Cold War. They're like, do we want the person that's like more agreeable to our funny morals, or do we want the person that's going to guarantee our business? It's kind of like the whole, you know, haha, there's this democratic person in Chile, but he sure looks a hell of a lot like a communist because he has nationalized like a factory or something. Why does this exist? Because he has nationalized like one factory and wants to do a funny central planning with funny computers. Let's kill him and replace him with a fascist. Same thing with like Spain. It's like, oh, the last time those people were kind of red, and then they had a fascist guy. The fascist guy sounds about right, you know what I mean. The British definitely despised the Manchus and the Qing dynasty and the China as a whole, and they liked the Taiping slightly better because they were Christians. But that didn't let them, you know, that didn't stop them from, they didn't let themselves get stopped from doing a correct business decision from their point of view. Because again, the British, as always, are nice capitalists at this point. Or at least they're starting to become like capitalists. And so yeah, that's the very basic history of the Taiping Rebellion. Now, the British also tried to take credit for defeating the Taiping as a whole, because they sent like some British army people to train some Shanghai Chinese people and, you know, Chinese people from this area, and like basically make a mercenary army that was called the Ever Victorious Army under this guy called Gordon, who was a like captain in the British Army, and he's known as Chinese Gordon. He's one of the fucking legends of British imperialism. And now this Chinese Gordon guy, by all accounts, was like not a dick per se, but he was super racist, right? Because he was British and it's the fucking 1800s. So of course he was super racist. And at some point, the Chinese Allied Army, that's like not directly under the British command, which was led by a funny guy called Li Hongzhang, who, if you know Chinese history of like the late 1800s, you're like, oh, Li Hongzhang, because he's the main person behind the Chinese side in the Sino-Japanese War and, you know, the self-strengthening movement and a whole bunch of things. Now, Li Hongzhang, who was leading his own weird army in Shanghai, trying to prevent the, you know, basically the supply line between Qing, you know, northern China, Qing, central China, from being interrupted from, like, you know, British traffic, which was becoming more important. And from there, they could threaten Tianjin. They were also coming in from the west, and so they were surrounding Tianjin. And so Li Hongzhang, at some point, is like, sure, they're besieging this town, right? And he's like, you know, to all the Taiping in here, if you surrender, I'm gonna spare you or whatever, right? And Chinese Gordon is like, well, this is a very honorable thing, or fucking something like that. So Li Hongzhang gets to surrender, right? Gets all the Taiping people out and fucking murders them all, right? Because they're, of course, to him, they're fucking like rebels against the state and they're potentially all dangerous, blah, blah, blah. So, like, oh no. And the Chinese Gordon guy is like, oh my lord, how could you do this? How could you do this? You are a barbarian Chinese subhuman with no honor. Okay? Yeah, Gordon Ramsay was just doing the Sichuan sauce. And he's like, you have no honor. Bitch, you were fucking recruiting like criminals to be mercenaries and training them to use fucking modern Western guns against like people with spears. It's like, how is shooting a Taiping rebel with a spear with your Armstrong gun honorable, while Li Hongzhang tricking some people into surrendering and then killing them dishonorable? Weird Western morality. Yeah. You are dishonorable! Commit seppuku! And yeah, later Chinese Gordon gets up to a lot of shit. Chinese Gordon is actually really interesting. Despite him being like a super racist. Eventually he gets killed by the epic Mahdi army. Because he was of course an infidel, and so the great army of the Mahdi, in accordance with the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which say that you can kill infidels, just fucking execute him as the infidel dog he is, you know. Which is an action that I wholeheartedly endorse. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mashallah, he was killed by the epic executioners of the Lord Allah. Mali army? No, Mahdi army, which was the Sudanese revolt. Now, the Mahdi is this like fucking Muslim religious figure that's supposed to be kind of like the Muslim Messiah, basically, if I understand this correctly. Basically, the guy who's supposed to come in and lead all the Muslims in the final days, right? And at some point, some Sudanese people were like, well, we found him, and this guy starts leading a massive rebellion against the British and the Egyptians. And the British guy who's supposed to be stopping this whole mess is Chinese Gordon. Obviously, he got sent there because like the British were like, this guy is mighty good at slaughtering the uncivilized, or some fucking shit like that. I don't know. And funnily enough, one of the people who's there as a like correspondent is Winston Churchill, who is like, well, it appears that these maddy Sudanese fanatics, I'm not sure why he's half Texan, appear to be quite uncivilized. They appear to be inferior to the Aryan race. It appears like the British Empire must burden itself with these uncivilized people and perhaps kill a few million of them with famines. So this is Winston Churchill, right? So actually, the Taiping Rebellion made Chinese Gordon more racist than he was, and Chinese Gordon ends up being in Sudan against the Mahdi army, and the Mahdi army makes Churchill racist, which means that the Taiping Rebellion caused the Bengal Famine. Mahdi is just a Muslim Punisher if you think about it. Bruh. Based. The based level is insane. Yeah, honestly, right. Honestly, literally, every fucking accent that, like, starts to be weird for me, I just default to Texan for some reason. I actually realized this in a... yeah. Damn. Wasn't the Bengal Famine intention? That's the joke! Because Churchill basically caused the Bengal Famine. And Churchill was ultra racist because of his experiences with the British Army in Sudan. Those experiences were partly possible because of Chinese Gordon, and Chinese Gordon was really made by like fighting the Taiping Rebellion. And so if the Taiping Rebellion had never happened, the Bengal Famine, like unironically, would have happened in a different way. Churchill might have been less racist, or like more racist, I don't know. He might have been Red Flood Churchill. Or some shit like that. Anyway, I kind of spoiled it, right? So, I talked about the British intervention, and let's just say that the British are coming. At some point, the British do get an event to fuck you. And it's actually really, really cringe. It is mega cringe. I despise the way the British intervention is handled, because they don't have like a take Shanghai war goal or something like that. The war goal that the British have is restore order to China, which does not have a ticking war score. Now, in case you don't know, with Victoria 2, the way war score works is that you can have... Oh, by the way, let's... I'm about to do a funny. You don't realize what this is funny, but let me just say you will soon realize why what I'm doing is funny. Each war goal that you add to the war, if it's like a take this kind of territory, okay, now you're the attacker. Now you need to fulfill it. So if you occupy it for at least 75%, so like for example, if I'm trying to take a state with 4 provinces like Taiwan, that has Penghu, Tainan, Taitung, and Taipei. If I take over these 3, fulfilled by 75%, I get a ticking war score. So the war score goes up, day by day, until it reaches a maximum of whatever, right? Which means that if you're the defender, you can't just like fucking turtle, and if you're the attacker, you need to attack. Makes sense, because the opposite also works. If I don't take this is a minus war score. So this is pretty obvious, right? Oh god, Somali dervish. Honestly, I don't know enough about the Somali dervish, but they did seem pretty, like, based. Because they were pro-Italian, if I recall correctly. Am I sure on that? They were, like, trading with Italian Somaliland or something? I don't know. But anyway, they were pretty based because the dervish, I know about the dervish, and the dervish are based. So the Somali dervish, they were also anti-British, which means that they were even more based. And if I recall correctly, they surrendered because the British sent an airplane to bomb them, if I recall correctly. And they didn't know what planes were. So they were like, oh no, Allah is against, or some shit like that. They were like, Allah is against us. We better, like, fucking make peace with the British. I don't remember exactly, like, the way this is supposed to be. Maybe I'm just, like, talking shit. But yeah. This is what I remember. Anyway, the problem with the British is that the war goal that they use doesn't have a ticker. So what it means is that they can sit back, blockade you, give you a bunch of war exhaustion, and you cannot, like, force them to make peace because the AI is like, my military score is higher than you, and I have like a plus 10% fucking thing from my blockades, even though they haven't landed a single soldier in Chinese shore, in Chinese soil. So yeah. Oh no, what's going on with the liberal Zionists on Haaretz? What are they coping about? What is their coping about? Yeah, the Boshin War happens between Shogunate Japan and Imperial Japan. Now, if I recall correctly, this is only an HFM. In normal Japan, this is all Japan, and it's just united. And I don't think there's any Boshin War, which is a pretty big memento considering how important the Boshin War was. But whatever. Anyway, at this current moment, Guizhou is being epic and revolting against the Qing, so we need to save them because we don't want them falling. We want them to be independent from the Qing. You will know why later. Also, Pingnanguo, now they're independent and the Qing isn't declaring war on them. This was the southwestern Taiping, essentially. Not just because they had a similar name. So, like, the Pingnanguo is the pacified southern country, right? While the Heavenly Kingdom, the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, was officially known as the Taiping Tianguo, which is the sky kingdom, the heavenly kingdom of great peace, of universal peace, right? Taiping is this weird Chinese philosophy concept that's basically, either translated as great or universal peace, right? Which is ironic considering that their rebellion caused the highest casualty civil war in Chinese history, and I think the third largest casualty war in history. Yeah, I believe only behind World War I and World War II, which is mind-boggling. It killed like 30 million people, the Taiping Rebellion. So, yeah, they were the great peace. All right. Do you think you can unite China before Britain comes? Haha! This is where we get to it. I don't want to unite China. Anyway, so let's get back to it. We can talk about my secret strategy later. So the Pingnanguo was the Muslim Heavenly Kingdom because at some point this area contained like some Muslim merchants. It was actually like honestly, Yunnan does not have a lot of Muslims, which is why they have this Allah flag. Like the Muslims in China are always in the northwest. Sorry, but the Yunnan area does have some Muslim trading, basically people coming in and doing some weird trading routes shit between southwestern Asia, the east, and the northwest, right? And one of these guys is like, I am now the Sultan Ahmad, right? And he's like down with the Manchu barbarians up with the Chinese. Actually, yeah, one of their slogans, they were like specifically saying we are Ming restorationists. That their slogan was down with the Qing and restore the Ming. While the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom never wanted to restore the Ming. They wanted to make their own like heavenly dynasty. Tian dynasty or fucking some shit like that. They wanted regime change and revolution. But basically the fucking Penang War, even though they were epic, they were confined basically to the southwest the entire time. Now I have managed to find like a book or two on the Penang War, which hopefully is going to be satiating my questions about the epicness of the Penang War, and hopefully at some point I can make an epic lore video on the Penang War as well. The Penang War also supremely interesting, obviously because fucking Muslim rebellion in southwestern China. It's like holy moly. Now the Penang War is also epic because they, if I recall correctly, actually managed to get diplomatic relations with the British. If I recall correctly, one of the sons of the Sultan of the Penang War managed to like get accredited as a diplomat in Britain or something. This is nebulous in my memory. I read about this like a few years ago. I don't exactly remember. But yeah, the Ming Caliphate would have been super epic, but whatever. So anyways, the Penang War was epic, and we want them independent, not just because they're epic. Soon enough, we're gonna do a fucking repetition of the Crusades, but we want them independent as well. We want Guizhou independent, we want Penang War independent for our secret strategy. Damn, what the fuck is up with all the Scottish people being everywhere? Like, in case you don't know, the Scottish and the Swedish are like the people that end up in the weirdest places in Asia. If you read like a lot of accounts from basically the period in which like the trading between East Asia, Central Asia, and Europe is starting to get going, and like people from Europe are like quote unquote exploring Asia. It's always the Scottish and the Swedish who are ending up in the weirdest places. It's like Scottish explorers in Tibet, Scottish under the service of the Russian monarchy exploring Manchuria, Swedish people who were like captured and semi-enslaved by the Russians, ending up being captured and semi-enslaved by the Jungar Khanate. This is an actual fucking story. There was this Swedish guy who got captured by Peter the Great in the Great Northern War, got sent as like an artillery engineer off to fight the Mongols in Central Asia. And the Mongols captured him, made him a slave, and made him cast fucking cannons for the Jungar Khanate, which was this kind of Mongol empire thing in the 1700s. It was super fucking weird. Swedish biologist in Japan. Yeah, it's always the Swedish and the Scottish. I have no idea why. Like, it's insane. Scotland forever! Yeah, I know, right? I guess, like, my personal theory is that since like, the Scottish and the British Empire were kind of, like, you know, kind of second, not really that, like, they weren't as second class as the Irish, but they weren't quite as epic as the English. The Scottish did kind of have this weird entrepreneurial spirit of, like, fuck all you English cunts, I'm doing my own thing, right? And which is why, like, actually, like, a lot of the British science and, like, political economy comes from Scotland. Like, the University of Edinburgh and Glasgow were a lot more academically important than, like, Cambridge for a long time. If I recall correctly, Newton, for example, was basically doing his shit up here for a long time. Also, Adam Smith? Yeah, probably Adam Smith had to deal with Scotland. And like, other than like London and Manchester, the other like great industrial center of, you know, Victorian England and like pre-Victorian England was Edinburgh. So yeah, which is why, as you can see, this picture is so goddamn ugly, because Edinburgh was industrial much before like fucking like I COVID-19. I'm from Hull. It's like, who the fuck even cares about Hull? So Scotland was like capitalist before England in some ways. And so the Scottish end up being everywhere because it's like, all you English cunts are very stupid. I will go do my own thing because I am a free individual, or some shit like that. I don't fucking know. That's my personal theory anyway. British dogs trying to kill woodcock. Yeah, I know, right? Darwin! Right, Darwin, true. Darwin, pretty based, not gonna lie. I learned today that Darwin was a misogynist. So I guess like a lot of people love him now. A lot of people from my Discord especially. The North remembers. North FC. Yeah, basically like the parts of the British Empire that like made sense were North FC and Scotland, which, well, let's just say that makes a lot of sense. Anyway, I'm gonna add West Canton with the Chinese reunification CB. Now, you might be asking yourself, what the fuck am I doing with the CBs? Because if you know Victoria 2, especially with HFM mod, you know that the Taiping War is a scripted thing where both countries have a Unite the Nation CB. It's like, Woodcock, you little retard. We all know you're gonna just peace out for Unite the Nation and just annex the Qing Empire. Why are you adding those other CBs? Well, you will see very soon. 33 brigades. You will see very soon, my friends, why I'm doing this. Makes sense, you mostly knew English women. You mostly knew English women. Based. Anyway, we also need, before we actually like do this, we need to get up to 10,000 research points to take the foreign training methods. And the smart cookies among you are starting to know why this is a thing. Damn, god damn it, this Qing army is like really... It's Sun Guofan! Sun Guofan! He's epic. He's the reason Taiping lost, mostly. So he's like the only good Qing general. Well, not the only good Qing general. There was also Lian Zhang and Senge Rinchen, or whatever the fuck that guy's name was, but yeah, okay, sure. So this motherfucker is overpowered, apparently. Yeah, whatever. He killed my guys. I need to kill this army. If I kill this army, basically the Qing are dead in terms of armies. Oh, I'd be a pretty fucking good professor. If and when I actually do manage to decide like what faculty, university course kind of thing to apply to, because I have a like 3-year degree, which is the lower level. At some point I'm gonna want to like get a better degree from university. Right now I'm pretty okay with my business, but I'm gonna... Oh, there we go, Nianjun. The Nian have risen. Excuse me. Okay, there we go. Now the Nian are like my little baby, right? I don't want them getting fucked, so I'm gonna protect them. I do want to apply for basically the we have in Italy, we have some exams, some courses, some credits that you must have, that you must take to be able to apply to the basically competitions to become a teacher. And I do want to do that at some point. If I can become a teacher at some point in my life, in like school, that would be pretty cool. But like, to be completely honest, there isn't really that high of a demand for like history teachers, or I mean, to be honest, considering the level of like high school and middle school education, I could probably teach, let's face it, almost anything. But yeah, it would probably like what I would enjoy doing would be history, obviously. Oh shit. What are you doing, Sungwufan? Are you trying to get the Hanhui? Damn. No, you don't even need a PhD to be a professor, unless you want to be a professor in university, in which case it's weird. It's complicated if you want to be a professor in university. And honestly, yeah, unless you want to make that like a career all the way from, again, your university years. Let's face it, you're probably not going to be a university professor, but being a high school professor would be pretty cool, because like Italian high school is filled with disgusting teenagers, right? Just like many high schools. But like, even though teenagers are quite disgusting, yeah, I feel like it would be a fun job, because from what I've heard, there's a very weird relationship, if you're like a good teacher, that you can have with your students. So yeah, it is just interesting in my opinion. Oh, it's Sungwufan. Oh, it's Sungwufan. You're about to get fucked in Changsha. Oh no. Where's he going? He's going to Genzhou. What is so important for Turks about Kashgar? I mean, is it like the home of the Turkic people? Nobody knows like the true home of the Turks. It's somewhere in Altai, I guess, which is this region. The Chinese call it Tian Shan, the Heavenly Mountains. The Turks and the Russians call it Altai. But yeah, somewhere in these highlands is the supposed home of the Turks or something like that. Kashgar was just a Turkish city. Well, not a Turk. Okay, I just fucked up. It wasn't a Turkish city. It was like what would eventually become Uyghur city. Shit. Is there no Kashgar on the map? It's, I guess, got the Chinese name, which I don't know. It's probably it's this. Kashgar is here. Right, my voice is dead. That is unfortunate. I talk too much. Oops. That is a bit of a problem. Anyway, let's continue our slaughter of the Manchu barbarian demons. I do love how the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom called the Manchus demons. It is just so good. They're like, the Manchu demon must be eradicated from China. Based. Crusade against the modern world. God damn it, Xiao Chaogui. Why are you so fucking bad? Oh well. So, Xiao Chaogui. Let's talk about this motherfucker over here. Xiao Chaogui thought that the holy... So, like, okay, so we had the Hong Xiuquan thought that he was the younger brother of Jesus, right? Now, his second-in-command, Yang Xiuqing, was like, okay, I can't exactly say that like, to be powerful in the Taiping movement, I need to have some kind of spiritual authority, right? And find some way to, like, justify God sending me visions so that then my policies can be like God's word, God's plan, or whatever, right? So he's like, okay, I am like the Heavenly Father, who is God to the Taiping. It's like the Heavenly Father, and the Heavenly Sons are Jesus and Winston Churchill, the Heavenly King. So the Heavenly Father, God, is sending me visions as well. And so you are the younger brother of Jesus, and Jesus speaks to you. God sometimes speaks to you, but like I am God's favorite, right? And so it's okay. And since this guy was like really big balls, everybody was like, oh yeah, definitely. This guy was amazing. Now, Xiao Chaowei was basically like virgin compared to these Chads, right? And he was like, I guess the Holy Spirit sends me visions. So this motherfucker is running around leading this army, and he's like, the Holy Spirit is telling me to go to Qingzhou and flank the Qing Empire army. You're starting to see, I hope, why I like the Taiping so much. Taiping were a weird bunch. Direct phone to the big G. Pretty much. Exactly. Did the US do anything in the Taiping Rebellion? Since I know the Yangtze River Patrol US was active from 1854 to 1849. Okay, so the Yangtze River Patrol for the US was actually all about securing the lines of communication between Nanjing, Tianjin, and Shanghai, because the US were the only ones who were actually trading with the Taiping, except some like rogue people, because the British merchants were not supposed to be trading with the Taiping. But obviously, British people, especially British people who are capitalists in Asia, don't tend to be like very good at following the government can tell me what to do. The British traders in Asia at this point, you have to imagine, are basically ANCAPs. Except when their goods are getting seized by like the natives or whatever for trafficking illegal goods without like regard for the laws of other countries. At that point, they call for the Royal Navy, right? But yeah, the Americans are patrolling this stretch of the river, and they're like, please, just don't fight each other. We just want to trade. Now, at some point, the Americans formulated this policy called the open door policy to China, right? So what they wanted is British people. What they wanted to do is basically have a non-political stance to economic affairs in China. They literally just wanted to grill, aka they just wanted to trade. And they also wanted all of the foreign countries, all of the Western countries, to have the same trading status or the same diplomatic status with the, whatever government was around. So what they're doing basically is that whenever the British are getting into trouble with the Chinese, they're like, excuse those idiots, Chinese government, we are neutral. We are not British, okay? We are not British, we are not British, we are not British. We may look British, we may sound like we're speaking the same suspiciously as the British, but we are not British. Just please don't take our guys hostage when the British are shooting up Canton for no reason, okay? So this is the American stance on the thing. And, but of course, the American people who are actually on the ground tend to be, as I said, just like the British merchants, American capitalist merchants, who tend to be, again, pretty much like, if the goddamn government tell me what to do, then I will goddamn take my guns and shoot the government because they're tyrannical! And all that, right? So, if the goddamn free man trading in among the Chinamen wants to make some easy money selling opium, well, then by God, this is right! And all that, right? So, yeah, that's basically the American stance on all the things, right? The American merchants are more than happy to, like, call a British gunboat in to, like, bomb some fucking yellow people who are, like, fucking taking their cargo because it's illegal, or some, or wanting to, like, tax them or whatever. So, the whole situation in East Asia is very weird. Adding to that, remember, a lot of this is taking place at the late 1850s, right? In fact, a lot of the climax for all this intervention, of all this Western intervention, is in 1860 and 1861 with the Second Opium War and later the British intervention against the Heavenly Kingdom. What also happens in 1861 in America? Yeah, of course. So you have that some American traders are like they're sticking under the American flag because they have to, because they're in Asia and they're too far away, but they're from the land of Khan or whatever, right? So also a lot of the people that were in Asia in general from Western powers were always super fucking racist, right? And so what happens is that there's one very, very funny incident is at some point at the beginning of the Second Opium War, right? The British are like, let's sail to Beijing and force the evil Manchu person to, like, recognize that we are an equal diplomatic and trading partner to the Chinese. And they think, like, we're just gonna sail up the White River, which is this thing, sail up the Peiho, as they call it. It's the Baihe. They're like, let's fucking... Yeah, gun running is a time-honored American tradition, I know, right? Which is why there were all these American, essentially gun runners, selling cannons and rifles to the Taiping rebels, right? And which is why the U.S. Yangtze River Patrol existed. So, the British and the French, at this point, are like, let's just sail up the river to Peking, which is not up here, it's over here. To Peking, and show them what for, right? And at the entrance over here, there's something called the Taku Forts, or the Dagu Forts in Chinese. To the Westerners, the Taku Forts. And the first time, and they like fucking easily took them over, right? So they think it's gonna be easy. They had already, gone through, did their thing, and then gone back. They thought they had their treaty. The Chinese are like, your treaty doesn't exactly say the same things you think it is saying. We have altered the deal. Pray we do not alter it any further. And this time the Chinese were like epic, right? They basically laid a trap for the Western devils, right? The Taco Forts, yeah, exactly. They laid a trap for the Western devils. And the Western devils thought that the forts were basically in disrepair because the first time they'd blown them up, right? And they're like, okay, they let them come in. They let them start to sail, right? Without, like, it looks like there's no one there, right? It looks like it's all abandoned. And then when they're at close range, they fucking open up and murder a whole bunch of British and sink a whole bunch of British and French ships. And there was one American ship in this, like, fleet, right? But they weren't supposed to be belligerents because the US was supposed to be neutral. But, like, literally the commander later explains that he contravened the order to stay neutral because because he was a southerner or whatever, he was super racist. And it's like, I just couldn't stand by while my race brothers were getting gunned down by those yellow dogs, or something like that. It's I'm paraphrasing, but you should read like the actual account itself. So he literally violates like American, state policy, whatever he was told to do by the government or by the trade ambassador person, in order to be an epic racist, essentially. Okay, we need to actually just stop like microing and be epic. There's a very good reason. The reason is that we have beaten the Qing, right? Mostly. Now, wait, what the fuck? Now we've mostly beaten the Qing. Wait, who's actually moving to Jian? What? It's the 59th Army. Dang, dog. The fuck you doing? Don't make me fucking laugh, mate. Wait, why are you going there, though? You gonna play TNO, Wallace, or LBJ playthrough? I think what I want to do as America is fucking, what's his name? Gus Hall when he's fully ready, and I guess maybe some rightist guy at some point. Maybe LBJ. Well, LBJ isn't really rightist in TNO, nor in real life. Sorry, I meant maybe Wallace, or maybe one of those like epic like neocon type people like Strom Thurmond or Gene Kirkpatrick, who just want to drone strike people before drones existed. Basically, they sexually identify as that. You get to Gus Hall by doing radical LBJ. Well, I'll understand how I get there when the time comes. I'll understand how I get there when the time comes. I don't have time to cram all this information that I'm going to forget anyway. There we go. So with these victories, the Qing are down to 30 brigades. This is extremely good. The reason why this is extremely good is going to become apparent to you very soon. Because as I said, my goal right now is not to take all of China. No, 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 no. Yo, what if I add Formosa? So they can't run away there. If I did peace out with the Manchu Devil for the United Nations, I would annex all of this, basically. Actually, yeah, all of this except Outer Mongolia, right? I would annex Manchuria, Inner Mongolia, all of Qing Empire, Qinghai. And it would leave out Tibet, Xinjiang, and Outer Mongolia, which you can then attack and take over. But that, my friends, is a terrible decision. As much as it looks really cool and really blue, because Taiping is blue, and it looks good to have such a big blue China, that is not what you want to do. So the secret strategy that I've been hinting at, well, not really hinting, but yeah. George McGovern! George McGovern! No, Goldwater, bruh. Nuke all the Germans. Goldwater wants to nuke your kids. Or some fucking shit like that, I don't know. So, anyway. If you take over all of that, that's a really, really bad idea. Because what happens is... Bruh? Okay. Because what happens is... Then you have all these, like, non-Han people... And they have more militancy. and they all rebel against you. And they're all reactionary because you're trying to westernize, right? Now, the Taiping, in and of themselves, can westernize a hell of a lot faster than the Qing Empire, because the Qing Empire has all those shitty national spirits that I showed you, and they remove those later, while the Taiping doesn't start with them. So you can get a lot of reforms quickly, which means that people get really, really pissed off, and they're all reactionaries, and they're trying to kill you. And since China has a magajillion of population, there are a magajillion Chinese reactionary rebels who want you very, very dead for being a Western devil, right? And like, upsetting their feng shui, or some shit like, you have upset my feng shui by building a railroad. And then, rebellion breaks out, 17 million people die, as is usual in China, right? You have upset someone's feng shui, 14 million people die. So, wasn't Russia supposed to have taken Outer Manchuria already? Well, the Russian seizure of Outer Manchuria is a byproduct of the Second Opium War and the Taiping Rebellion. So in 1860, he's supposed to take Outer Manchuria. Which, by the way, like, the seizure of Outer Manchuria was one of the world's... I can't really say if it's the biggest, because I don't know if it is. I don't know of any other example that comes close to it, but like, the seizure of Outer Manchuria is a very interesting thing. Very, very, very interesting thing. Because it is maybe the world record of peaceful land grabs. Because it was gigantic. This is a lot of shit. It's like Europe or something. Like, I don't know. I don't know the exact amount of land that this is. And they took all of this without firing a goddamn shot, by just doing a whole bunch of funny, essentially, by saying, because basically at that point Beijing had been occupied by the Anglo-French forces, and they were burning the Summer Palace and all that. And the Russian ambassador was like, hello, Qing people, who had retreated to Chengde beyond the Great Wall. Hello, Qing people, if you give me all that shit, we're gonna make the retarded British people stop. And they were like, okay. Now, the Russian ambassador knew that the... Sorry, they hadn't taken Beijing, they had taken the outskirts of Beijing. And some of the city. The Chinese were afraid that the British and the French were trying to overthrow the empire or whatever, and do what some of the British people thought, which was just conquer it all, right? And just declare themselves the new dynasty or some shit like that, right? Because that's the same thing that the Qing had done. They were outsiders, they came in and they took the thing, right? So they're like, oh shit, Russia, yeah, whatever, just have this fucking wasteland, right? Because it was very, very sparsely populated anyway. Just have this fucking wasteland and stop them. The Russian ambassador knew that that was not what the British wanted to do, and so he was like, okay, take it. And then, when the British, turns out, only wanted to trade, the Russian was like, aha, see? Russia is the greatest country on earth and the greatest friend of China. So this guy was like a fucking genius. I don't remember the name, but yeah, he was a fucking genius. Apparently, somehow. What? Russian imperial people being competent? Like, what the fuck? That's honestly really weird. He was big brain. Million square kilometers. Damn. That's a big number. 1 million square kilometers. Then Russia seized more lands in the partitions of the PLC. Yeah, but those were not, peaceful, Those were really not peaceful. Because the Polish did resist. Even if, technically the land was like ceded peacefully between the states. So de jure, by law, it was a peaceful ordeal, but in actuality, it was not peaceful at all, right? Also because at some point the Polish had a kind of revolution thing kind of deal going on, where they tried to reverse it. It was fucking complex. Everybody was trying to get their like candidate elected to the elected monarchy of the PLC. It was fucking nuts, right? Was it possible to avoid a Sino-Soviet split? Well, yeah, if the pro-Soviet faction had prevailed over Mao Zedong in the late 50s, in the late 50s debates and in the early 60s struggles, you could have avoided the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution and the Sino-Soviet split, because a lot of that was the Mao agrarian autarkic faction of the CCP, basically worried that Russian influence through things like Soviet industrial investments, Soviet technical advice, Soviet weapon sales was basically just a prelude to Russian domination of China, right? Which, I mean, to be fair, that literally was like that in the eyes of the Kremlin or whatever, right? Because we all know that the Kremlin is just evil. Ah, right, the Louisiana Purchase. Right, the Louisiana Purchase. That was definitely bigger. You're correct. Because Louisiana was fucking massive, right? And again, even though there you also have, like, you know, Louisiana was French, kind of, right? And later Spanish, kind of. They did need to, like, kill all the natives that were there, right? First, because America, fuck yeah. We're gonna kill all the Native American people. America, fuck yeah. Anyway, the British have posted cringe, as you can see. The British have intervened in China. This is a big problema for us because they have a restore order to China. We are going to restore order to this mostly barbarous country, right? There's a very big problem with British restoration of order to China. There is a very, very big problem. That very, very big problem is the East India Company, who can somehow march 50,000 men through Tibet or Burma into Western China and start to attack us. Like, the British almost never naval land, in my experience. Now, I'm gonna try to see if I can win the war, but it is highly unlikely that we can. So we need to prepare for the eventuality that we are not going to win the goddamn war. Take back Hong Kong! Well, yeah, I'm definitely taking Hong Kong, right? For a very good reason. Because, as I said, tickers exist, right? And restore order to China does not have tickers. Humiliates the United Kingdom. Why does that have a ticker? When we have a great war score from battles, at least 5 have been fought. Okay, I see. So, like, we need to defeat the British in battles, but the British have something called technology, and we do not, so this is a bit of an issue, right? We have 0 military technology, because ooga booga, the Chinese people are barbarians, or some shit like that. So we need to take Hong Kong, and hope that that is enough, so that we can add a war goal, take Hong Kong, right? And try to see if we can get some more score from that, basically. And in the meantime, we're just gonna be sitting on the Qing Empire being mostly dead, and there's a good reason for that. Because as I said, if we take over all of China, right, we have the problem of having to westernize and having to wait for our westernization reforms to be, like, good, while we have a very problematic, massive population that always wants to revolt, which is a bit of an issue, right? This can be avoided if you defeat the Qing by bites. So like if I take just a few bits now and then a few bits later. And this also has the added benefit that, remember those research points research points bonus for conquering thing? Well, we're gonna take, there's 4 of these reforms. Now, to wait for all of them would be gamey and shit and take a million years. But we're gonna take one of them, and we are gonna grab a shitload of China. This is gonna give us a shitload of research points. And then we're gonna use those research points to get more research points bonus when conquering and go invade someone else. Like the Guizhou, on whom we have Chinese reunification CB. Galaxy brain, right? See, this is actually not my strategy. Somebody else. Somebody else was the brain behind this. Unfortunately, it is not Woodcock who has created this stroke of genius. But it is I who have adapted it to this mod, because the person who had created this strategy on the Paradox forums wasn't thinking about the survival to rebels aspect, because I think whatever fucking game version he was playing, rebels weren't as much of an issue. But let me tell you, trying to play normal as the Taiping Rebellion, even if you manage to unite all of China, is impossible because of the rebels. I've tried, believe me. The rebels are just really, 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 really obnoxious. It is so difficult to deal with them. Almost, again, I would say impossible. So, and for some reason, I'm not sure exactly why, but like, the militancy is really, really good, especially when you are fighting the war. When you end the war, you get a bunch of events that give you militancy, as they have a Li Kingdom. Can't you peace out the Qing now? No. No. Because if I peace them out right now, the current research points bonus when conquering modifier is at 0%. So I don't get any research points to get reforms. If I piece them out when I have reforms, or when I at least have one reform, I get research points for piecing them out, which is a very important thing, because that jump starts my westernization. And really, like, the end goal when you're an uncivilized in Victoria 2 is become civilized, become westernized, right? So to do that, you need to obviously, you know, you are not taking over the Pingnang Wall. And we're going to build this defensive line, right? To do this, you obviously need to take all the reforms, right? But the more reforms you do... Shut the fuck up, Leninator. The more reforms you do, the more pissed off people get. And if you have less people, there's less people to be pissed, right? And the Taiping have a massive fucking army, right? They start with a potentially 200 brigades. And to be honest, once you defeat the Qing the Qing are a pei pa taiga, right? You defeat them, and they're not really coming back, like... And even then, you're going to be westernizing faster. So you can defeat the Qing by bites. Pretty goddamn easily, to be honest. So as you can see, we've got, you know, minus 58%, which means that it's really, really good for us. I'm not sure if they would take the peace right now. They would accept, yes, but again, I don't really particularly give a shit about this piece. Okay, I've taken Hong Kong, and I haven't seen any goddamn British East India Company niggas. And like, see, for example, like, bruh, look at this. Plus 4% for the British. The British are winning because blockades. Now, this is really cringe because right now, we have a -5 war exhaustion per month from fanatic loyalty, which lasts until 1857, right? So, that's like alright, right? Yeah, the whole Manchu barbarian structure will collapse in and itself. Now, by blockading us, the British are not giving us as much war exhaustion as that, right? But once we lose this modifier, they're just going to give us a whole bunch of war exhaustion, which is going to give us a whole bunch of militancy, which is going to fuck us up, right? So this is really, really cringe, just in general. You know, let's actually see if we can build a navy. We are going to build... Yes. We are going to allow the Westerners into the Heavenly Kingdom. Bratan. Because if we can build a navy, maybe we can kill the British Navy. I don't know. Wait, is he actually landing troops? Pog! You see, this is great. He's landing 6,000 guys. That's so pathetic. He's like, meh, we're gonna kill all the uncivilized peasants. He does not realize. He doesn't realize what a mistake he's made. The British dogs are about to be slain by the epic soldiers of God. The soldiers of the Lord. Anyway, where the fuck is Shida Kai, the greatest soldier of the Lord? Bruh, where the fuck is he? Xiao Chagwei. There we go, Shida Kai, he's in Chengde. He took Beijing. Now watch how epic this is. Because you see, his CB, or my CB, is humiliate. So if I defeat him in battles, I'm gonna fulfill the humiliation. So the fact that he's sending like nothing to me is really, really good. I'm used to the massive fucking army of the British East India Company being cringe, right? And they're gonna come in at some point, believe me. Believe me. Oh damn. That's a little bit of attrition. That is a little bit of attrition indeed. Let us avoid some of this attrition. Gongchang. 没有共产党就没有新中国，没有共产党就没有新中国。共产党是老为民族，民族。The funniest of the free principles. Yeah, this is acceptable. So now Guizhou is still at war, but like since we have fucked the Qing military, right? Guizhou at some point is going to fulfill the status quo and just peace out, right? Yeah, I know. Shut up about Vietnam. I know. We're gonna deal with them later. Vietnam always does that. They always go, long Vietnam. What's the shortcut to split units? It's S. It is like the most important shortcut, yes. Wait, what the fuck, bro? Bro, the anti-federal... You've got to be fucking... The Free Province of Guayaquil. Don't make me fucking laugh. So Peru did the Bolivia treatment on Ecuador. Bruh. Bruh. He did the Bolivia treatment on Ecuador. He's like, no coastline for you, bitch. Andean Federation PogChamp. Wait, the Andean Federation is just Colombia. Or sorry, it's just Bolivia. It doesn't... How does the Andean Federation not have, like, Peru and all that? What? I distinctively remember when I created the Andean Federation as a puppet, it did have... It had Peru and Bolivia and Ecuador. Oh well, whatever. Wait, no, not Ecuador. Ecuador is Gran Colombia. Shit. British people. British people be like, I will land 6,000 soldiers in Suzhou. Gets Gallipoli. Shodakai is our Ataturk. Anyway, unfortunately, these battles are like super small, right? So unfortunately, they don't... Look at that. That didn't even matter. Disgusting. We need to fight at least 5. How sad. Like, honestly, how fucking sad that just because I don't kill British people... This humiliate thing is so disgusting. Like, it's so unbalanced. Like, just because I don't kill British people because I can't fucking get to them... Way Patriots! Because I can't get to them. I can't get to the British. I can't get war score against them. It's like, bitch, how am I supposed to be the one who has to take the initiative when it's the British who are intervening? Yeah, I just made more British racists, exactly. Wait, Bolivia only exists when it's a presidential dictatorship? Is that a commentary on the socio-political history of Bolivian institutions? I don't know. So anyways, what we're going to do now is we're going to sit on this. The Qing are castrated, right? They can't do shit anymore. Now, if we can actually win the war against Britain and somehow like convince Britain to peace out or something, that would be good, right? But I somehow think that it is very impractical. There we go, we just took over Hainan. That's pretty epic. I somehow think that it is very impractical to do this. I highly doubt that we're going to be able to convince the dumb as bricks Victoria to peace deal AI to actually fucking make peace with us unless somehow their war exhaustion goes up because of whatever, right? Sikh liberation of Tibet and Ladakh? What? The Sikh Empire... The Sikh Empire do be taking over Ladakh. Now go forth and reclaim Taiwan. We're gonna do that, don't worry. So, Sikh Pog, yep, all the Buddhists have now been turned into Sikhs. And those who haven't accepted are murdered. How epic. So, yeah, the Sikhs and the Qing are at war because of Ladakh. Because Tibet was still allied with the Qing. How pathetic. Anyway, so what is going to happen right now is that, in all likelihood, we're going to have to surrender to the British. Now, surrender to the British means restore order to China. Wait, what? How? How did the Qing Empire... Okay, whatever. Now, restore order to China. Let me show you what it does. It's one of those funny CBs that basically fires a scripted event that does something funny. Wow. Amazing, bro. Wait, how? What? Yeah, see, this is why it's cringe, right? It just basically randomly destroys your states. And then some of your armies defect to the Qing. Again, the armies that are in those states. Now, I am not exactly sure why this many. I am not exactly sure why this many. The last time I did this, it was not nearly as many actual fucking troops. British diplomacy. British diplomacy be like, now I will randomly divide your country in two. Look at how experienced I am at diplomacy and foreign affairs. See, like, if that had been more acceptable, the last time I played this and I did that, the British restore order to China thing. Shut the fuck up, Qing. The British restore order to China thing only basically took over like some random shit over here, and it didn't take like half my army away, which is what it did right now. So, yeah. I'm guessing it's basically RNG. So whatever, let's just wait on it. And of course, the Qing Empire really, really wants to make peace, but no thanks. Like, we're literally just not going to. We're just going to ignore them. And what's funny is, honestly, if the British restore order to China thing, if the British restore order to China thing only takes away like a few of my provinces and a few of my troops, I'd be mighty fine with that. Because guess what? I can then add the return cores war goal on the Qing and just take them back really, really easily. And that also makes me conquer that territory, which gives me research points. So, ironically, if the restore order CB thing is like not too bad, it is better to get ordered by the British than not, because I get more research points. Chung Lamau. Wait, what the fuck? Oh no! Allahu Akbar! Bismillah! Allah! It's the Hui Patriots. The Hui Patriots are attacking me. No! It's the fucking Saracens versus Crusaders. Wait, the British ships just kind of fucking left. They just kind of went away. Bro, can I add Hong Kong? Come on! How is this not going well enough? It's 0% and I have Hong Kong. Why can I not add Hong Kong? Oh, right, it's because I've already got the war goal. Shit. How fucking cringe. How fucking cringe, bro. Anyway, is my like navy building? Yes! The epic heavenly fleet is building. What the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom could never do. Not in Fuzhou, please. Like, what the fuck? Are you doing later Republic of China? I have no plans for the later game. I want to just kind of wing it and see what happens. my main purpose is to prove that like Taiping is doable, and westernize them, and then the epic China. But like, what kind of epic China is gonna be up for, up for debate, I guess. The Navy of God! Exactly! The Navy of God. Also, the Navy of God. British Sabah. Okay. Okay. The Navy of God could, I guess, make a funny foray into some random British territories and see if I can take over some of them and get some war score with that. That would honestly be pretty funny. Did the Pope ever say anything about the Taiping Rebellion? Not that I'm aware of. Also because, again, the Taiping were not Catholics. They were Protestants. And more specifically, probably Protestant evangelicals. Now, the Catholics had tried to convert China in the 1600s. The Jesuits, mainly, were involved in this. And see, the thing is, the thing about the Catholic conversion strategy for China is that it was very different from the Protestant one. Now, the Protestant missionaries and societies basically were using Hong Kong as a base for, like, just general mass propaganda, right? I'm gonna go up to a place, like, get a person that speaks Chinese, convert them, or, get a missionary that speaks Chinese, convert some Chinese people, and then use those Chinese people to convert more Chinese people, right? And the Jesuits actually were not getting killed. It was the Protestant missionaries that were getting killed, because the Jesuits earlier on had Royal Navy spotted. I am David Montgomery. I will kill all the Chinese dogs. So what? Yep. Oh my god. 8 naval tech. Holy shit. I need to create a fucking admiral, bro. How much leadership do I have? How much fucking leader? 12. Okay. No! My beautiful heavenly boats. Yeah, you need to get the fuck out, bro. Yeah, I lost 1 boat. That's unfortunate. Shit. That means that they get like a 1,000,000 war score. How annoying. Anyway, so the Jesuits were like, no. And the Jesuits actually started this strategy in the Ming. So like the dynasty before the Qing. The ones in U4. They were like, let's convert the elite. And yeah, the Matteo Ricci people. They're like, let's convert the elite, because they realized that like the Chinese are not these ooga booga barbarian people, right? They're like, oh shit, these guys actually like know how to write, and they are nerds. Basically, the Chinese elite were nerds, right? And the Jesuits were also nerds, and so they realized, shit, we can convert them by proving that we're pretty fucking great. Like being a Christian makes you a pretty fucking great nerd, right? So they went in and they were like, aha, Mr. Scholar, bureaucrat person, do you know that like the stars go swoosh? And they give them like fucking Galileo shit for whom like they'd be burned in Europe or whatever. I don't know. Do you know that star goes swoosh, that planet goes swoosh, that mathematics exists or whatever? Of course, the Chinese knew mathematics existed, but they didn't know as much about mathematics actually as the Jesuits. So at that, Chinese nerd goes like, oh god, what? That's cool. How the fuck could you even know that? We're like the fucking celestial kingdom. We know everything under heaven and all that. We are the premier civilization of the world. What the actual fuck? How can you know something? Now, you're not superior to us, but like, how can you know something like this? And they were like, God! And so they actually were pretty successful at this. Now, it's complex, and within the Catholic Church, there was a massive debate about like how much Catholicism, the rule of the Pope, and some of the Catholic liturgy could be watered down to be more like appetizing to the Chinese, because to the Chinese it would have been like really politically also like treacherous almost. To be like, okay, I am a Catholic, and I know that, like, there's this dude in Rome. The Chinese knew about Rome, since the Roman Empire. There's this dude in Rome, right? And he is like the supreme spiritual authority, right? Now, in the Chinese traditional religious system, which was fucking complex as fuck, and we're not getting into it, the emperor was the pope kind of thing, right? So you could be a different religion, but if you were a state official, it's a bit like how you can't be a priest if you're a Muslim kind of deal in medieval Europe, or even just like a ruler in a Christian country, or in a Catholic country, and not be Catholic, right? Let's see if we can, like, kill the British. I highly doubt that we can kill the... What? Okay. I highly doubt that we can actually kill the British. Oh, shit. Hold on. I can actually fucking create an admiral. Oh! Xie Yat-sen! Xie Yat-sen, he's megalomaniac and unflinching. Fucking Xie Yat-sen be like, I will exterminate all of the British. And to be honest, Sun Yat-sen loved the Taiping. So, you know, that, like, this admiral is called Yat-sen is kind of interesting. Yeah, they were kind of like Redditors, yeah. They were kind of doing some Reddit shit over there, yo. I don't know. Ooh, we're gonna actually win the naval battle. Bruh, we're not killing the... it's Commerce Raiders. It's fucking Commerce Raiders. Shit, they've got better ships than we do. This is unfortunate. Oh, wait, we're gonna lose. And my fucking admiral died. Dang. You know, if we had a united fleet... If we had a single fleet, we would have won this, probably. And Sun Yat-sen was also a Christian, so, yeah. Anyway, are Pops turning Protestant? I am honestly not sure. Like, I've got no idea. I honestly don't really particularly know about, like, religious conversion. Oh, look at that! 5 people will convert to Protestant each day! Pug! I think it's because we're a theocracy, right? Because if we're a theocracy, we convert people faster, right? Well, by plus 0.1%. Based. Yo, holy shit. Catholics! What the fuck? We got a bunch of we got some Hui Muslims over here. In the heavenly capital. Yeah, we got a fair amount of Protestants over here in the heavenly capital. Yes! Hakka landlords! Hakka landlords! Pog. I am pogging relentlessly. Dang. You cringe lord. Taoism get owned! Yup. Yup. Well, I may not have good naval commanders or good ships, but I do have a heck of a lot of Chinese money. So we're gonna throw that at the British. This is pretty disgusting, though. Nianjun? Yeah, this is the Nianjun. It's the Nian army. It was a weird business. It was kind of like a mercenary revolt kind of stuff, or more like a bandit / peasant revolt. Now these motherfuckers were again in Henan, which is a much more flat region of China than anywhere else, but they were really good horsemen apparently, and they were generally allied to the Taiping. Although it's a weird ordeal there too. Anyway, I need to fucking wait until I get research number 1. This is 7,403 research points. Okay. So it's 3,100 more research points. We get daily 2.7... No, daily free research points. So 900 per year. So if we're going for, as we said, 3,000 more research points, that would be like 3 or so more years of this. Okay. Apparently Korea is pretty Christian though. Yeah, but Korea's weird. That's and Korea is actually it's Christian Catholic mostly. In fact, the current is he the prime minister or the president? I think he's the president. The current president of Korea is a Catholic, Moon Jae-in. Let the Nian live? No. The Nian, even though they've got 120,000 soldiers, are eventually going to learn the truth of Christianity. Anyway, any funny things going on in the world while we wait? Haha, looks like La France is helping the epic Cavour destroy the nigga Austrians. Get fucked, Austrian Empire. Based. The Kingdom of Sardinia acquires Lombardy. Based. This is some base shit. Oh, Mexican Civil War. Argentinian-Paraguayan War of Honor? Dang, Paraguay got allies? Bro, Paraguay? You got allies? You're not at war with, like, everybody? Dang. That shit's good, dog. What religion is the second biggest in NK? I'm assuming atheism is the largest religion. It's Chondo, which is like the supreme way? Or something like that. It's one of these weird ass, like, semi-Taoist, semi-Buddhist kind of businesses, right? And, like, quote-unquote atheism. I mean, there are some people who consider, like, the Kim cult like a kind of religion kind of deal. So I guess that would be first, if it existed. I'm honestly not sure about it. Like, what my actual point of view of that is. Anyway, basically, yeah, there's this Chondo religion. Which is, if I'm not mistaken, and I might be gigantically mistaken, it's basically a successor to the Donghak, which was this political slash philosophical slash religious slash social slash uprising slash movement slash, I don't know, reactionary slash anti-Western slash pro kind of Chinese, which means Eastern learning. Dong is just like the Chinese dong, and hak is like the Chinese xue. So it's like the Eastern learning movement, which was this thing that almost overthrew Korea in like 1890, and like inadvertently was the casus belli for the Sino-Japanese War, the first one. Juche, yep. So anyway, Donghak was this pretty based thing, right? They wanted to kill all the currently ruling dynasty people, and they did this massive peasant uprising, right? And they wanted to kill all the foreigners, I think. I'm pretty sure they wanted to kill all the foreigners. It was kind of like a Korean Taiping, except, a little less nuts. Because it was Korea, not China, and Korea's a little less nuts. Although Korea's pretty fucking nuts. And there were a few successor, like, religious movements, but they were all, like, within the mold of, this kind of Taoism, Buddhism, syncretism, weirdness, slash Eastern traditional ancestor worship, which is basically all Chinese religions, right? It's also what the fucking Falun Gong is, to give an example that everybody knows. Dong Xue Dang. Oh shit. Victoria 2. Gottverdammt, Victoria 2. Oh no, there we go. Ooh, I thought you. Bro. See, I thought that Victoria 2 had kind of done a funny. Anyway, the Taiping hate foreigners. I thought that was the thing with the boxers. Yeah, that was mostly the boxers. Now, the Taiping, again, were weird on the whole foreigner thing, because some of them were epic, Christian brothers or whatever, right? But they were still, like, not Chinese. Now, the Taiping did have a pretty big element of, like, Han racism against the Manchu. These motherfuckers from Beyond the Wall or whatever. In fact, in the cities that they captured, the Taiping genocided the Manchu that they found. Because they thought that they were all like demons or whatever, right? They were the servants of the devil and they had to be exterminated. So, yeah, the Taiping were pretty yikesy. Let's just say that. They definitely wanted to genocide all the Manchu. Or at least the leadership. The original Taiping, the ones who had like done the long march from Guangxi all the way to the Yangtze River, that like quote unquote 1 million guys, which probably was like 100,000 or whatever. Those guys wanted to kill all the Manchu, right? Also because they wanted to basically expropriate the evil fucking, the evil landlords and like the disgusting government officials that were protecting the evil landlords and generally, oppress the people. And the government officials may not have been Manchu, but they were the servants of the Manchu dogs. So they also basically were servants of the demons, of the servants of, the devil or whatever. So they all need to be killed, right? Which, to be fair, considering like the average yikesiness at the time, it was not even that bad. Let's just. You cannot convert in Victoria 2. And I think Mormonism. Actually, I'm not sure, but yeah, I think Mormonism, if I recall correctly, is its own religion. Well, actually, it is its own culture. and possibly its own religion too. But yeah, basically, Taiping is kind of a Chinese Mormonism. Because it is basically like this guy thinks he's getting like visions from God or whatever, that he's the new prophet, he's the new Jesus or something like that. Just like Joseph Smith or whatever the fuck that guy was. He's like, although to be fair, Mormonism is a lot more insane. Funnily enough, the Mormonism is a lot more insane than Taiping Christianity, because like Mormonism, don't they believe that like the lost tribes of Israel or whatever, sailed to the New World, and the Native Americans are the lost tribes of Israel, and then they abandoned God, which is why it's okay for the whites to kill them, which is why there's the like fucking golden tablets in New England or whatever the fuck, right? I wish you could restore the Ming and 8-on mod. It is sad. Yeah, pops assimilate to the state religion. In this case, Protestant. So we're gonna convert some Protestants by the end. Basically. But like, for example, in Chengde, do we have like many Protestants? No, only 2 people were converted in 2000. Wait, hold on. Is that like an Orthodox guy? Did I see this correctly? Or an historian? Oh, Vajrayana. That shit looks like a cross. Bro. Bruh. Das ist ein sehr bra momento. Damn, we need some clippers, bro. How about you give me clippers, you little bitch? I'm supposed to be buying up stockpile. No clippers. How unfortunate. Well, I'm gonna play until we get to the reform, and then be done. Now let's see if we can attempt. Before I get the reform, I'm gonna see if I can attempt the thing with the British again, where we like quote unquote surrender, right? Now, I wish this mod would run faster. No, shut up, Qing Empire. So what do I accept, actually? Hakka, South Hen, North Hen, Yue, and Min. Okay. So I don't want to get involved with like the Guizhou shit because of the Zhuang, right? That's gonna create a whole mess of fucking particularists or whatever, or reactionaries. Sorry. Xiaozhou is East Canton. Okay, East Canton is fine. East Canton is very much fine. I guess I could like take like some Shandong business. I could take like West Shandong. Or maybe take some of Sichuan. No, but this is South Han. Fuck South Han. Do the South Han have any... Well, actually, no. They don't have any problemos here. Aha. Okay, I see. I could take Sichuan. Yeah, sure. Sure, I'm gonna take me some West Hubei. And be done with those 4. Because there is a cap on how many research points you can get per single war. Damn, $5? Thoughts on the Mormon nationalists and the Sarah Nation? Is it funny or just super cringe? It's super cringe, basically. Now, Mormons are kind of funny. But in general, they're mega cringe. They're omega cringe. So yeah. The fact that they want to have a country is like, haha, funny. Like, the idea outside the faith looks pretty weird, not gonna lie. Although, it is nothing, like, if you think about it, like, a whole bunch of people are like, oh my god, like, look at this, fucking Joseph Smith finds, like, the fucking prophecy and, like, writes a new Bible, like, haha, how could you even believe this? But it's like, if you think about it, that's, like, literally, you know, like, haha, how can you believe that some random Jew 2,000 years ago, you know, was like the son of God and had the answer to everything, and so his disciples wrote down his word and, like, spread it around a whole bunch. Like, why do you believe that? How do you believe that is more plausible if you're like a Christian? Like, now, I am an atheist, right? So that means that I do not believe, which means that both of those things look equally, like, wait. Okay, Spain has Fort Ross. Let's not look at that. No, it's still the Russian-American company. Anyway, basically, both of those two things, which is a little redundant, but whatever, look a little, let's just say, long shot to someone who doesn't have faith, right? But to be honest, they're pretty equivalent if you think about it. Like, yeah, what does, like, why is Jesus superior to Joseph Smith? Or we should say, why is some random Jew from 2,000 years ago superior to some random American from 200 years ago, right? It's like, not that superior, right, if you think about it. Like, what are you saying? They're like, because more people believe in, you know, Christianity 1.0 or 2.0 or whatever, that, like, the other versions are discredited? Well, okay. Well, you see, the thing is, early Christianity also had, like, a massive amount of theological debate within it, right? Especially before it became, you know, the religion of the Roman Empire. And after it became the religion of the Roman Empire, the people who came out on top of that called themselves the Orthodox, meaning the people with the correct doctrine. Now, ortho in Greek is supposed to mean, like, something like correct or, you know, righteous, and doxa is the doctrine, right? And yeah, Mormonism is just more American exceptionalism. True. Wait. Austria's at war with the United States. Speaking of American exceptionalism, the Americans are coming into... Wait, the War of Piedmontian Freedom does not include Piedmont. You do not even have a true... Let's not look at that. Game's broken. So anyway, right, so they're like, oh, we are the correct people. And so, like, obviously today, whoever the little bitches at the Council of Nicaea, or whatever the little bitches at the Council of Nicaea decided was correct Christian doctrine, is like, oh yeah, obviously, you know, obviously the Trinity, obviously, there was the duality of like man or like divine and human nature of Jesus Christ, right? He was both man and the Son of Man and the Son of God, or those fucking things, right? But see, the thing is, like, tell that to someone in the fucking Byzantine Empire in 500, and someone probably would have killed you if you said this, right? Because he might have been a Miaphysite or whatever, and thought that, like, no, Jesus is only man, or a Monophysite, and he thought that he was only God. Or actually, sorry, no, the Miaphysites were the people who didn't believe in the Trinity? I think, maybe, I don't know. And then there were some people who thought that Jesus was only a person, just a prophet, you know? Yeah, it's a complex fucking scenario. What the fuck is happening with Mexico? It's a Mexican civil war. Anyway. Let us be based. Now. Oh shit. This is more expensive. No, let's take this. Actually, officer training is more leadership modifier. I don't think I need more leadership modifier at this very moment. So we're gonna get the foreign training methods. And look at how epic this is going to be. Now, I will save and see what happens with the... and see what happens with the British, right? British intervention in China. How about I restore some order to you? Damn. But how cringe, bro. Like, I'm sorry, this is just so fucking cringe. They just really like doing this. Well, we still have 100%, you know. How many troops have you got? 100. Well, how cringe. Well, how fucking cringe. This is really massively mega cringe. Maybe I can get a lot of, like, cores off of them. And make this worthwhile. Also, I hate how it removes all the occupations. This is just straight up bullshit, to be honest. Now, I have the save, so don't worry. I can just go back to it if I want. When can I add another war goal? 15th of February. So I'm getting this, right? North Anhui and South Anhui. Now, for some reason, I see... This is very bugged. This is very bugged. I love how I have 100% war score. You know, what I really, really hate is that it took away all the fucking troops. This is really disgusting. The fact that it took away all the troops is pretty fucking cringe, I'm not gonna lie. But I still have 100 guys, so it's not like I really need to reload or anything. I think this is very winnable. 2nd of March. They still would accept. You know, what I really don't understand though is how the fuck I've got 68% war exhaustion. This is really weird. I'm not sure how the fuck... I had 0% until almost the end. So that is really stupid, but whatever. And that's actually really bad because look, 1 million war exhaustion equals 1 million rebels, and it's not good. It is really, really not good. He still would accept. The peace event must give you war exhaustion. Yeah, probably. It's disgusting. I hate it. I wish it didn't. Honestly, I wish it didn't exist. It's just such bullshit. It's like, as always, the British just ruin everything. Who would have thunk it? Like, just even for the sake of just... Even if you don't really particularly care about the historical accurateness of it all. You know, just for once, can the British not ruin everything? Like, just for novelty. Just for novelty's sake. Can you make the British not ruin everything? Literally. And yeah, as some of you pointed out earlier, you could technically just fucking cheat, right? You could technically just fucking cheat. Just make the game go like, yes man, debug, and get a white piece, which is, well, probably more realistic, but like, I don't know, I've always got this weird... Wait, what? Bro. I've always got this weird... Ooh. No. Honestly, this seems pretty Wake up, Britain exists, stay ruined. I know, right? I fucking know, right? South Jiangxi or South Zhejiang? Okay, so South Jiangxi would be, I guess, this, yes. Or South Zhejiang. Bruh. Jiangxi is better because it's got more Hakka. This is so much militancy! This is so much fucking militancy, bro. I think I need to... Hello, mate. Hello, good day, mate. You missed all my rants earlier about your country. Yes. All the rants about the most horrid and despicable crimes that the British nation has performed in East Asia. Honestly, I don't think I should take this. I think this is a terrible decision. Because it would fuck up with my fucking militancy. So sure, I guess. Oh god, what's lagging? Yeah, it doesn't seem to give research points, but it's one of those events that looks like it's going to give you research points later, so I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know, man. Oh no, it's doing that bug where it's like retreating forever. This is really sad. I hate that bug so much. Why, yes, I'm going to retreat forever and not let you stack wipe me because I'm a piece of shit. Look at that. Look at that. You can't stack wipe these fools. Disgusting. So this guy's going to still have like 80 brigades or whatever. Anyway. United Nation 85. Methinks I can get all my cores back. Now, I'll definitely hit the... This is not optimal play, by the way. This is not optimal play. I'm going to hit the cap. I'm going to get like 30,000 research points off of this. Look at this. Which is, you know, probably had I not. If I took these in like bytes and chunks, I could get like 60,000 research points. I don't know like the exact rates or whatever with this. Oh yeah, right, I have an army in Hong Kong. I'd forgotten about this. Now, is Macau... Macau is a Spanish, or Portugal is a Spanish fucking protectorate. Or the Sphere Lord is Spain. Time to steal some Western technology. Time to be based. Okay, 91. This is fine. This is really fine. Now, look at this. 500 research points, right? Bruh! Bismillah! Allahu Akbar! Now, you might be saying, bruh, that's epic. Now, the problem is rebels, right? Taiping reactionaries. This makes them really mad. But, oh, militancy is going down. It's going down. See, if I'd taken the entire Qing Empire, right? Militancy would be going fucking up, bro. Actually, it's not... Oh, shit. This is bad. See... right. You're having that issue. Actually, less administration, please. Less military spending. Let's see if you can get some life needs. Ooh. Can you get life needs if I do this? Oh, it's just cringe. Anyway, then what you do is, when is the next reform? 30th of July, 1859. When that comes, you take another reform that gives research points. No, not university. Nope. Not university reform. No. Look, they nerfed it in the Anon mod. It just gives plus 10% education efficiency and plus 25% civilization progress. It does not give research points. Oh, and it also... Oh, whoa, it does give you the Malthusian and Enlightenment philosophy. But we get the ball rolling. Well, we get the ball rolling with this method of getting research points by conquering. It is much more efficient early on to take these things, these research points while conquering. And then we use that to conquer shit and get university. Now, this motherfucker, we have a truce with him until, no, for 8 more years, right? Now, he's got 39 million pops. We have more pops than he does. We're always going to win now. We are always going to fucking win against the bastard. The only problem is, can we survive the rebels? That is literally the only issue with the Taiping. Surviving the... If you can survive the rebels as the Taiping, you're set. And we are well on our way to actually surviving the goddamn rebels. Kind of, maybe. Now, our current war exhaustion is 60... Holy shit, what do you mean Canton blockaded? It's one of those bullshit Victoria II blockade bugs. And yeah, that's the funny part. We do not have a truce with Nian, and we do not have a truce with Guizhou, and we do not have a truce with Pingnanguo. Which means that we can go and eat these guys up and get me research points. Now, just to be sure, who's angry? Yeah, mostly people are angry because of war exhaustion business. You know, honestly, that war exhaustion nonsense is... It's just disgusting. Why am I supposed to have this much war? Yeah, you can see, as you can see, they've got 6 million fucking reactionaries. But to be honest, yeah, a lot of this should be from war exhaustion, so maybe it's gonna go over to the soldier pops as well. But if I keep my military spending up, and my soldiers get paid, they should be able to get life needs and not be too mad, right? Shit. South Han soldier, yeah, they're getting their needs, right? So the soldiers, they're mad because of the war exhaustion, but they're not gonna be mad all the time, right? And the reunification CB that we have allows us to like retake Chinese borders, right? This allows us to retake, you know, Qing when it comes down to it later, really, really easily. It allows us to kill the goddamn Qing. Basically whenever we wish, whenever the truce is up. And every time we do that, we're gonna get research points, which is why, you know, we're doing research that way. I've seen people increase soldier pops using the focus for China to survive liberals. Are we sure that this is going to, like, work, though. Now, at some point, another thing that would be very good. Damn, plus 200 soldiers every day. Okay. Now, another thing that would work is hold the fort. I think I might be pretty dumb. Shit, actually, I just realized this guy. Let me increase. Ain't no goddamn militancy in North Hanwei. Yeah, look, some of these. Where's like. Is there. Yeah. I love how the plate. Look at this shit! It was. Haha. Big brain. Why is there like 10 militancy down here? I'm pretty sure all this militancy is like Qing militancy. This was our land, but the event that like the British thing. See, this may make us honestly having taken that British surrender thing was cringe because of all this militancy, but retaking all this land may make us survive because ain't no goddamn militancy over here. Because the British like event militancy shit does not affect here. So they're gonna build up militancy slowly, but like we're gonna be, you know, we're gonna be taking down that war exhaustion, right? Doing it in the highest pop province. Yeah, what is it? North Jiangsu. But like North Jiangsu, nope, because North Jiangsu has more militancy. So I'm gonna do it in South Anhui. Yeah, because South Jiangsu and North Jiangsu are my biggest pop provinces, but they've got a lot of militancy, so the soldiers I recruit from there might join the fucking cringe. While the ones I recruit from here are not going to join the cringe. Bro! This is something else. Because believe me, otherwise, if this was not happening, if this whole strategy that I'm using did not exist, this campaign would be impossible. Because the rebels, like you can see already, just like 4.8. This is not that much militancy. Like you can go up to 9. This goddamn militancy is getting 6 million with an M. Taiping reactionaries. It's like, bro. Are you okay? Like, dang, nigga. Anyway, if I can get like, yeah, if I can get like 2 or 3% soldier pops in every province, I should have like enough soldiers. But like, even if I tax everyone, and yeah, this is gonna give us more fucking war. It's gonna give us more fucking nationalist agitation. I hate nationalist agitation. Wait, what? Oh, only in like Guangdong or whatever. You know, to be honest, I think I should release Guangdong. I think I should just fucking release Guangdong. To get rid of the nationalist shit. I can just Chinese reunification them when the truce runs out. Because yeah, they've also got like the Guangdong shit, right? So this should actually quite heavily decrease this, right? Although, the infamy. Wait, did I get Taiwan? Yeah, I did get Taiwan. Okay. Hakka! Hakka im Taiwan! Damn, 153 armies be like, I need all the grain in the world. Yeah, we need to buy the fucking. We need to buy this. Now, see, because actually, no. The infamy really isn't important for uncivs in Anon mod because Anon mod has minus 0.50. So true infamy is like 4 months while we're uncivilized. So yeah, I'm just gonna release Guangdong, right? Actually, shit. Let me save first. Theocracies. Theocracies are something else in Victoria too, yeah. Okay, let's see. There were like 7 million. 7.58 million reactionaries. Wait, what? That's a lot of reaction videos. How was there not a single fucking reactionary in Guangdong? Okay, so but the militancy is not rising at all. So like actually like they weren't reactionaries, but they were building up a shitload of militancy, right? Honestly, I think this is fine. Can we like release them or whatever? What do you mean? Oh, I need to be civilized. What? How? There are somehow now more reaction. Theocracy! Kuomintang faction! Theocratic Kuomintang Cantonia. Theocratic Kuomintang Cantonia. And now I can't declare on this guy for Chinese reunification. Honestly, see, the reason why I would want to release them is that then I can reconquer them with Chinese reunification. Bruh. Look at this, we can do all the reforms! Anyway, what I do next is I do this, right? Oh, actually, see, this is actually, like, pretty big brain, because look at that, 20% tariff efficiency, bro. Bro, 20% tariff efficiency? Oh, that's like not a lot. But you know, maybe that's a lot of money in the long term. And then I fuck up. These people. And these people, right? This way and this way. And this way and this way. And this way. Ooh. 8 cavalry. 11 cavalry. And this way. Theocratic KMT isn't something that I knew I wanted. Yeah. And see, now because I went down, I can eat a lot more research points, right? And the next reform is going to happen in the 6th of February, right? And by then, I'm going to have eaten these guys and these guys, and I can take the other 25% research points when conquering. Now, there is a 4th one, the Navy schools, but the Navy schools are just bad. Like, come on. Plus 10 naval starting experience, please kill me. So next, I take artillery, and that means boom, 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 boom. And then I take the universities. Now, what does this leave us with? 25. We have 25% right now, right? The foreign officer training is 5%, so it goes to 30%. Artillery is 5%, 35%. Infantry is 5, so it goes to 40%. Then I take university, and I'm 65%. And by then, I'm like declaring war on the Qing again, right? And when you become like quote unquote the real China, right? There's also in 1860 the self-strengthening. From a you can take a self-strengthening decision, and so after that you get even more research points from just existing, right? So this should be a pretty easy way to like westernize by like 1870. Well, maybe not 1870, no, like 1875 or something. So this is the big praying plan, and it's going to happen next time, because I'm done for today. Now, I also need to finish my Italian TNO run. Now, another thing, right. Once I'm done with like the Qing or whatever, by using Chinese reunification casus belli to eat at them slowly instead of just killing them in one go, I can kill, guess what? Vietnam. I could just justify on Vietnam. Just go like, oh wait, I'm at war with them. Okay, sure. Okay, guess he was allied to Guizhou. Fuck me, man. I can just go like, hello Vietnam, how about you die, right? And just take his shit, and that's gonna give me research points. And since my infamy decays faster because I'm uncivilized, I can eat a whole lot of Vietnam and then later eat a bunch of Korea, right? So yeah, I'm gonna finish the TNO, and I'm gonna finish this, but I'm not sure in which order. So